Thank you. We want to welcome everyone here to City Council tonight. Thankful for people that are in attendance. Thankful for staff that's here.
Is your microphone on?
Yeah, mine's on. Yeah.
Crank it up.
The people are really having trouble hearing us tonight. I had 2 or 3 complaints out there of people. I don't know why, if it's quieter. Is mine louder than his?
Yes, yours is louder than his.
Yeah. That's because we mic'd you up. Because you're our sideline reporter.
Is maybe the mayor's just not working? Is that?
I'll move it. There.
There you go.
You must have turned it up, did you?
That's going to be great on the recording. Sorry about that.
She can turn it down, I can yell, but I don't know if the others can yell. I've been told I have a loud voice. So welcome to the City Council meeting tonight. Let's make sure that we can conduct business tonight by doing a roll call of our City Council members, starting with Councilwoman Meekum.
Meekum present?
Hurst present?
Plummer present.
Councilmember Bangeter present.
Neiman present.
Thank you. So we have two zooming in that are out of town and 3 that are here with us. So thank you, council members, for being here. We'll start with the legislative prayer thought by Councilman Brian Plummer.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to say that this is my favorite time of year. I love the Independence Day holiday, and I just love to watch shows that remind me of that. My favorite movie is The Patriot, and I try to watch it at least once a year around this time to kind of remind me of how it might have been. And so as we approach the 250th anniversary of American independence, I've been reflecting on the principles that allowed our nation to endure both through the triumphs and challenges we've had. The Declaration of Independence, one of my favorite documents, reminds us that our rights do not come from the government. They are inherent, and government exists to secure and protect them. Among those rights is the freedom to speak, to express ideas, and to peacefully disagree. Thomas Jefferson once wrote, "Error of opinion may be tolerated where reason is left free to combat it." That statement captures one of the greatest strengths of a free society. We do not preserve liberty by silencing ideas we disagree with. We preserve liberty by allowing ideas to be discussed openly and trusting the truth, reason, and respectful dialogue and hope that will prevail. The First Amendment protects speech, which we agree with, but its true purpose is to protect speech we do not agree with. Freedom of speech is not tested when everyone is in agreement. It is tested when differing viewpoints are expressed and we choose to respond with respect rather than suppression. In local government, we are entrusted with serving an entire community, and that means listening to one another, respecting the dignity of our neighbors, and remembering that disagreement is not a threat to democracy. It is evidence that it is working. As we conduct the people's business tonight, I hope we can do so with humility, gratitude, and gratitude for the blessings of liberty, and a renewed commitment to the constitutional principles that have guided this nation for nearly 250 years. And that's my prayer and thought tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Plummer. We appreciate that. With those words, if you'd all rise with me and repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
It's nice having that chorus behind me when I asked to repeat the flag, so thank you. being involved and speaking up with that pledge. Okay, we're going to do a couple things. The agenda has an open session planned, and I'm going to do that open session, but I think that I'm going to delay the open session until we do our presentation from Matt Myers from the South Davis Sewer District, and also discuss, because we have Cole Fessler here from the Wildland Fire Protection Division of Forestry, Fire and State. So I think we'll get him involved as well too. I do want to mention one thing. There is no public hearing tonight on any matter. And
There is one on the budget amendment.
There's two.
Oh,
Two public hearings.
excuse me, yeah, I went down below that. There is regarding the budget. So there's a public hearing on the budget amendment and on the fee schedule amendment. So when we get to the open session, we'll also have open periods if you're here to discuss those as well too. So I do want to point out that on this agenda tonight, late in the meeting, there was a discussion on the comprehensive general plan update scheduling and process. That is just a discussion. If any of you, I've been informed that some of you may be here might think that we're discussing the general plan in detail tonight, and specifically items in regards to Porter Lane. We are not discussing that tonight. We are just, because we've been so caught up with budget and other items, these are just setting out the steps and the schedule for discussing the new general plan. It's come back to us from the Planning Commission, and we haven't been able to get to it other than having a public hearing once on it 2 or 3 months ago. And so you're free to discuss what you want in the open session, but we have not agenda itemed anything with Porter Lane. So if I'm hearing that most of you are probably here for that, and there's not a discussion on specifically Porter Lane tonight, but you're welcome in the general session to talk about it. You know, you keep your comments a couple minutes apiece, but it's not agendaed. We're not going into it. I think the concern is that it's been pointed out to me, and I've seen it as well too, that potentially a traffic light on Porter Lane, but that is if the studies warrant it, and that right now would probably be years down the road. I mean, this general plan that we're going to approve over the next 3 months is a 20-year general plan. It's not a general plan for the next 6 months or something like that. It's a 20-year general plan. So I'm not trying to scare you away. I don't want you to go away. We love having people here, but I don't want you to panic thinking that we're making a decision on Porter Lane tonight as far as a semi-floor going in Porter Lane. That's not on the agenda. We're just discussing the steps for the comprehensive plan and how we want to discuss it in the future. So hopefully that puts you at some at ease. Maybe it's more stressful to some of you well too. So, but let's get up here. Let's get Matt Meyer from our South Davis Sewer District to give us an annual update. Thanks, Matt.
Thanks for having me. Oh, thank you. As a sewer person, one of my favorite things is when at a social event someone asks me what I do for a living, and I like to sink my talons in before they can get away, describe to them in vivid detail all things sewage, and just enjoy the look of terror on their face when that happens. So thanks to the city and for all of these captive audience members for the opportunity to talk about sewage. I thought I'd take you on a really quick kind of summary of wastewater treatment. By first introducing you to our district, I think a lot of the city council is aware, and maybe not, maybe some of the audience too, that South Davis Sewer District, we are a special service district, and we serve the five South Davis cities of Bountiful, Centerville, North Salt Lake, West Bountiful, and Woods Cross. It's a little over 100,000 residents. We have a little over 380 miles of sewer pipe that we operate and maintain. We have 2 treatment plants. One is a design rated flow of 12 million gallons a day. One is a design flow of 4 million gallons a day. We are partners in a public-private partnership called Wasatch Resource Recovery that is aimed at taking food waste and recovering energy from that resource. And that's us in a quick and dirty nutshell. But why do public sewers exist? Well, let's take you back quite a ways. I was actually, when researching this, and by the way, AI makes these slides a lot easier. I was going to prepare a presentation on this once on my own, and then I didn't have to suddenly. Procrastination pays off sometimes. So,
Do you mind using this mic?
Oh, yeah.
It'll help people hear.
You bet. So the public sewers go back to the Mohenjo-Daro pioneer plumbing that the people in the Indus Valley developed at about 2500 BC. It was pretty rudimentary, but the people then noticed that they must have noticed, at least, I don't know for sure, but they must have noticed that they got sick less frequently when they carried the waste away from the community. And throughout history, sewers have been a kind of a staple of successful civilizations, right? In Rome, they called it Cloaca Maxima, or the greatest sewer. The Romans had a goddess of the sewer. I think Cloacina was her name. So it was a pillar. Public health is a pillar of their society. And I won't go into further detail other than to say that it is modern sanitary sewer is a pillar of public health, and we've been the benefactors of that for quite a while. So that's the public health aspect of sewer systems, and there's the environmental health aspect of modern sanitation. So I think it was the final straw. Well, after the Cuyahoga River in Ohio had caught on fire for the umpteenth time, it actually made some national press, and people at the sight of seeing a river on fire, because what was happening was that the industries that were along the river would discharge their industrial waste straight onto the river, and an oil sheen would build up. And every so often, a spark would ignite the river would burn, and for a while until it burned out all of the fuel, and then the river would stop burning. And this was such a routine problem for the people that lived along the Cuyahoga that when it made the national headlines, and they used the most egregious looking photo for the Time magazine cover from the 50s, but when it really made national headlines and the nation got kind of outraged about it, it didn't even make the local news. So, it was such a routine occurrence that people had just resigned themselves to it. Sometimes our river catches fire, and that's just what happens, I guess. So that was in large part the impetus for the Clean Water Act. The EPA was formed shortly thereafter. EPA was created, signed into law by President Nixon, and we made a lot of good progress by cleaning up the environment after that. So the bottom right of the slide shows that we have, since 1984 to 2017, we've made significant progress on fish and invertebrate health in receiving waters. So lest you think that things are getting worse, we've come a really long way in cleaning up the environment. However, that doesn't mean that there aren't still things that people are concerned about, right? So that's the next slide, which is, there was, when the Clean Water Act and the EPA were formed, there was a whole lot of federal funding that went into upgrading the infrastructure necessary to clean up water. And the feds paid for a lot. I think it was like 80-20, the feds paid for a lot of the original infrastructure. So those, in the 80s, the funding shifted to local sources. And then they started, since the 80s, we've been finding, the feds have been finding new things to be concerned about. So biosolids was a thing to be concerned about. We would separate all the solids from the water, and then we had to put the solids somewhere, but those weren't regulated. And so in the early to mid 90s, biosolids regulations became a thing. In the last decade, nutrients were a big focus, phosphorus and nitrogen. And that is kind of where we're at right now with our treatment plant, South Davis Sewer District. We are starting to, we've been under design and then construction for nutrient controls at the wastewater plant. And so that's part of the reason the rates have gone up. and the vast majority of the reason the rates have gone up. But also, they're never quite satisfied, the federal regulators, and so they're concerned about new and emerging compounds, one of which maybe you've seen in the news. It's called PFAS, polyfluoroalkyl substances. That's the like Scotchgard, Gore-Tex. They're waterproofing treatments for fabric, for other stuff you want waterproofed, I suppose. Also firefighting foams. The PFAS firefighting foam, you can use like 5 or 6 times less of it to fight like a jet fuel fire and put it out than other competing firefighting foams. So there's really good utility and use for PFAS, but they're termed forever chemicals, which means that they don't break down over time very easily, and significant exposure of factory workers in the production process has been shown over time to be carcinogenic, et cetera. So those are a big focus at the EPA currently right now, and they really don't know what they're going to do about it. There are over 5,000 different species of PFAS. They're really only focused on the 2 original species, which are thought to be the worst. But there's a lot of unknown about that presently, and we don't know how to treat for them very well either. So moving on. So I'm going to kind of blow through a lot of these slides really quickly now after setting the stage here. But this presentation, in part, I've adapted from the one that was presented to the council about 2.5 years ago, I want to say. So we have new phosphorus limits. We have new reduced ammonia limits that we have to meet. The phosphorus limits we're meeting and have caused us to increase our operational costs significantly. The ammonia limits are going to need to be met by spring of next year. We're under construction right now to meet those. And the phosphorus is a concern for harmful algae growing in waterways. And so here's some algae photos. More on the phosphorus limit. So this, and then the ammonia limit is going to be met by this piece of construction that we've finished the structural on. This is a photo of our new moving bed biofilter reactor. And we are going to commission this in about March of 2027. Water flows into either one of the basins. There are a bunch of air diffusers that aerate the water, and there's a bunch of little plastic media that float around the water to provide surface area for the culture of biology that we want to grow in there to convert the ammonia to nitrates, which are not acutely toxic to the environment. We've also been running out of another reason we're upgrading. We would have to upgrade, absent any new regulation, we would have to upgrade in our plant to accommodate more solids. So we haven't, interestingly enough, the advent of low flow plumbing fixtures has kind of kept our flows static for the past 15 plus years. So despite population increase, we haven't seen flow increase, but we have seen the increase in strength. So people still send us the same amount of material, whether it's carried there in more in less water or not. So we've been increasing in our solids loading, we call it, to our wastewater plant, and are now recently, last year, we exceeded our design capacity for the plant. We're still able to treat with the existing plant with the assistance of additional chemical usage to get to the endpoints we need to, but for future, we're going to have to expand the solids treatment capacity. And this is a photo of the inside of our new dewatering building. So we have to dewater the solids before we can beneficially reuse them. There's a quick little timeline of how everything kind of fell out in our world. It's like a matter of a decade. We start planning for an upgrade. We engineer the upgrade. We finance the upgrade. The upgrade takes 3-4 years. And it's usually about a decade process, by which time, you're already, about ready to start, within a few years planning the next one, unfortunately. And so knowing where we're heading from a regulatory standpoint is usually paramount in that process. And we're approaching a point where, because we've had to upgrade recently, or we're upgrading presently, we're incurring debt service, and we'll be at a point where, about 40% of our annual budget will be just servicing our bonds on the project. Here's kind of a little And that's just kind of pictorial representation of that. It's kind of really busy, but probably just skip over that one. All of this, while the South Davis area is kind of building out, there's not a lot of developable acres left, so our impact fee revenue is, as a percent of our overall revenue, is diminishing significantly. So we really have to, we only can fund our improvements by user fees and the property tax levy that we currently have. So, and impact fees are kind of a de minimis source of revenue at this point. You know, we've all been experiencing the inflation recently as far as operating public infrastructure. You know, the one that is the most kind of interesting to me, the biggest impact. Let's see if this work. At any rate, so if you look at the chemical line item, that's mostly for the phosphorus treatment. So that's gone up by 278%. You know, from 450,000 roughly to 1.7 million annually for chemicals to treat the wastewater. That is still less expensive than building some of the capital options to treat for that without using as many chemicals. The chemicals is still a better bargain. So we chose to do that instead of additional treatment plant. And so our costs are going up significantly to accommodate all of the new regulation and the increased cost to operate. Along those lines too, like 100% increase in electricity. That's not just energy cost increases. That's because our new plants they use more energy. We have to increase the feed into the plant to run blowers, which is going to probably double the energy usage at the plant. When this started happening, we kind of thought, okay, is there something we're missing? You know, are we you know, not operating this facility intelligently? And so we went and bought some information from American Water Works to try and say, are we operating efficiently? So we benchmarked ourselves against peers, and in most cases larger peers. So in theory, they would have a better economy of scale, and we should be operating a little bit less efficiently. But we operate more efficiently from the standpoint of employees. We have, you know, roughly, let's see, about half the employees that a comparable district might have of our size. We maybe a little more than half. We operate in a cost per account far less than the industry median, and on a cost per mile of pipe basis, we're operating, you know, per 100 miles of pipe, we're operating at a savings over the median. So we feel like we're doing an adequate job, to a good job operating the facility. We're being efficient. We're being frugal as we can. But we just, you know, the biggest factor are the capital expenses that we're facing, and that's what's the biggest driver for the rate increases that folks have been experiencing, and will continue to experience at least for one more year for certain, and then we'll see where things settle after that. This is just the raw data for some of that. But we're not alone. If you know, misery loves company. So, you know, across the Wasatch Front, there's roughly, you know, $3.7 billion worth of wastewater treatment plant upgrades happening presently, or having recently happened, you know, for nutrient controls, et cetera. So these are all the different treatment plants that we know about and interact with, and their costs for upgrade. And these are upgrade costs. These are not like increased operating expenses. Here's kind of where we kind of fall out. Like we had static rates for a long time. You know, we increased rates once in 1988, and then we left them and didn't increase them for 30 years. But now we're in a phase where we have to catch back up. We probably should have been increasing with inflation over time, but you know, we didn't need that money to operate, and so we thought we'd best leave it in the ratepayers' pockets. But we're at a point now where we have to catch up, and it just comes at a really bad time for most people, unfortunately. Here's again where we kind of have been recently. In 2017, we started increasing rates to afford these upgrades, and this is kind of where we've been and where we will be. So 2027, we'll likely have another either tax or sewer fee increase to afford one final round of bond financing on the project, and then we'll be hopefully able to keep things static for a good while. Here we are to compare to the nation. You know, we today are about, you know, cheaper than 75% of other utilities out there. After upgrades, will be cheaper than 40 or 55% of the other utilities out there. This cost curve will advance over time. So by the time we're all said and done, we're cheaper than 65% of our peers in the industry. And then here is the current charge, and this is the cost distribution along the Wasatch Front. So for Utah sewer facilities, we're kind of on the lower end of the curve as far as total monthly fee. This would be our fee plus the average property tax assessment, and then this is where we're going to be after our project is finished in 2028. And again, especially along the Wasatch Front with that $3.7 billion of infrastructure investment, this is changing real time. As other facilities are increasing their rates, we'll likely slide down on this curve a little bit as well and be in the lower, you know, lower half for sure of the sewer fees along the Wasatch Front. That about does it for me. I think that's the last slide. Any questions or anything I can talk for the city council that you'd like to know?
Well, you brought up, one of your slides there, Matt, talked about algae. And maybe this question isn't for you, maybe it's more for Scott Paxman and Weber Basin Water. Do we have more polluted water now than we did a few years ago when I was a young person, let's say? I could get, this meeting's being recorded, right? I get myself in trouble. So I mean, that's a point of debate. You know, some researchers think that the population's expanded, there are a lot more nutrients running off into the water bodies, and that there is a lot more algae. Some researchers think that. Some researchers think that there really isn't, and that the water bodies have found natural ways to kind of deal with the excess nutrients, and there's only so much algae you can grow at any one time anyways. Algae is kind of a fickle pollutant to kind of manage, because it needs warm water, it needs sunlight because it's a plant, and then it needs the nutrient content. Well, the nutrient content, if it's there, algae will grow. And you know, Utah Lake and the Great Salt Lake are vestiges of ancient Lake Bonneville, and there's a lot of nutrients in the sediments that can if the water column becomes depleted in nutrients, the sediments will release nutrients, especially phosphorus, will release the phosphorus into the water column. The harmful algae too, they can fix nitrogen from the atmosphere, so they don't even need the nitrogen in the water column if they don't have it. They prefer it, but if they don't have it, they can fix nitrogen from the atmosphere and continue to thrive. So it's a point of debate. We kind of, as wastewater folks that operate facilities that have to bear the costs of heightened regulation, we want to see better research indicating that it's necessary, and the state is usually deficient in their resources to do the research, and so they make really conservative assumptions. And so the wastewater community is kind of banded together. We have a research group, we have a kind of a special interest lobby, and we try and participate in that science effort, so that we don't get, you know, what we're fearful might be kind of really conservative numbers that cost the ratepayers a lot more than what they already have, you know, what they're already bearing. So that's kind of a big politician-y non-answer, but, you know, I kind of tend to feel like, you know, there were probably algal blooms when the pioneers came into the valley on some of these shallow, tepid waters. Maybe, not sure if there maybe are more now, but. Thanks. Other questions for Matt? I just want the public to know that Matt does a great job, and you think you elect these representatives, myself and these people, and when you elect them, you're electing them more than just to be show up here at the city council meeting, because we have a sewer district board, and myself or one of the council members has to be assigned to that. At this time, it's Councilwoman Hurst. She's our representative there. We have a representative with Utopia and Councilman Meekum. We have emergency preparedness representative here with and a tree board representative with Councilman Plummer. I represent us like at the fire board and at the dump waste management board. We have others that are online with mosquito abatement and economic development. So all these services flowing in and out of your house, the city provides some of those, but some of those are shared when it comes to the sewer stuff, when it comes to fire services, when it comes to waste management. So I just appreciate Matt, the time he puts in, and all our council members too, for the times that they put in serving on these boards to vote to get you daily services that are needed in your home to have the quality of life that we have. So, and your presentation was impressive tonight.
Well,
I've never seen slides like that you before, Matt. Those are good.
Well, thanks, and thanks for letting me come here. We really appreciate our relationship with the city. The city's been a great partner on a lot of stuff, and thanks for letting us borrow Gina for one night a month. She's really great to have on our board, so appreciate everything you do for us as well.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Let's go to item number 5. And this is the discussion on, I'm getting to it. And Cole Fessler, our fire marshal, will come up. So this is a discussion on an interlocal agreement between Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. Cole's our fire marshal, and we're going to have him up between us and 4 other cities late at night over the next few weeks, putting out fires and making sure that we're safe at our fireworks shows in the 5 cities, the 5 South End cities. So we're going to get him on the agenda so he can get some sleep at night. We'll keep him up later other nights. So
Appreciate it.
So anything from staff before I turn it over to Cole? Okay, Cole, take it away.
Yeah, thanks for having me today to talk about this agreement with the Forestry, Fire, and State Lands. Since 2017, the district has held this agreement. We've signed this agreement on behalf of the cities that we represent, so the 5 cities and then the unincorporated county. We've been signing this in the last year. They've made some changes to require the cities to sign this agreement as well. We've already signed ours for this year, and we're just looking for the city to sign their agreement for this year so that we can continue to provide those services that we do for a fund for prevention, mitigation, and preparedness. What this covers is if the city were to have a catastrophic wildfire like we did a few years ago when we had on the 3rd of July, which was a great day for me to start. I had started
2022, I remember well.
Yeah, 2022, I had started June 22nd, 2022, so it was a baptism by fire for me. So we got to show up to that, and what happens is that fire got delegated to the state as a type 2 or a type 3 incident, and the city didn't incur any cost for that. So this is kind of an insurance program for the cities that the state has put out, like I said, in 2017 to cover catastrophic wildfire costs. What that requires us to do as cities and the fire district is to produce and provide mitigation, preparedness, and prevention so that we go out and do fuel mitigation on behalf of that. There's a taxable value that we have to do for a participation commitment that the state assigns us every year, and we have to do that in-kind work. Questions?
This is an interlocal agreement. I'm sure, Lisa, that you've reviewed this, right? From the-
Yes.
The staff
Yes, I have,
standpoint
and,
as our attorney?
The Fire Chief Larson met with me as well to explain this new obligation, but we have been essentially entering into this through the fire agency. So staff recommends we approve this so that we are covered with this catastrophic insurance as soon as possible.
Thank you. Questions for Cole, for our fire marshal, or?
So our obligations as a city, what specifically are we obligated to do?
You can answer that, Fred.
Yeah, so your obligation is to sign the document. Truly that's it. Financially, you're obligated for, I looked at it today, $398 financial impact for your city. 24,000, just over 24,000 is what all three cities, Bountiful, North Salt Lake, and, all 5 cities. All of you are in this agreement. 2 cities have $0 of participation just because they haven't had any wildfire. So really what it is we go out and do the fuel mitigation. We track that on our side. We use our staff hours to do that fuel mitigation. We use volunteer hours. So your 9/11 day of service, all those things that you guys do, we track all those hours. We put it into the state system and they credit us for those.
Which
So
exceeds the
in-kind
24,000 by many. I mean, they do.
Yes,
quite a bit.
we have a carryover of 66,000 currently from last year.
Other questions? This is a resolution, so 2026-20, so I'm looking for, if no further questions, for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2026-20, entering into interlocal agreement between the city and the Utah Division of Forestry, Fire, and State Lands regarding a joint cooperative for protecting non-federal lands from wildland fire.
I'll second that.
Got a motion to second. Any further discussion? If not, let's go to a vote on this. Councilwoman Meekum.
Aye.
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 Councilman Bangerter.
Bangerter, aye.
Councilwoman Haven.
Bangerter, aye.
Thank you. We got it.
Naheem, aye.
Thank you. So that's unanimous.
Perfect. Thank you,
Thanks,
Mayor.
thanks, Cole, for being here.
You're welcome.
Thanks for what you do. We appreciate it a lot.
Thank you.
All right, let's get back. We appreciate those outside agencies. Like I say, that's the fire board, or we have a fire district covering our 5 cities, and all 5 of the mayors sit on that board and a county commissioner. So that's I have the pleasure of being able to serve on that board. All right, let's get back to our agenda. Now we're going to go to the open session. Remembering what I said before, that we do have a public hearing on the fiscal year 2026 budget amendment and a public hearing on the fee schedule amendment regarding this in relation to solid waste collection, monthly service fees. So you'll have a chance, if you're here to talk about those, to talk about those when we get to the public hearing. I also mentioned that we were going to discuss at the end of the meeting how we're scheduling over the next couple months or so in approving this comprehensive general plan, and how we want to handle that so we can get a new general plan in place. Cities are required to do general plans every so often, and a lot more often than we've done ours recently. So so we have redone this general plan with our community development department, Mike Haggett, and an outside agency called SOMAS. And so it comes back to the Planning Commission and the City Council for approval. So as I said, it's come to us, and we're going to be discussing that over the next couple months now that we've got through budget. And you're welcome as we have discussions on the general plan and how we tweak that into future meetings when we get the schedule set. But it is now the open session, and remember in the open session to try and keep your comments to 2 to 3 minutes. Remember that if it's not an agenda item, then we can't go into big discussion, but we sure can take your input, and the council members will take notes, and the staff will as well too. If it's something that we may be using on the general plan or something that's not in the general plan that you have a concern about, that we need to get on a future agenda. So why we can't get into detail, because we have to agenda these items, and by law we have to let people know 48 hours in advance to get any details. So With that said, the open session is now open to you to just bring up what might be on your mind. And just out of courtesy for all, to try and keep your comments to 2 to 3 minutes. And identify yourself and where you're from for the record. So that is now available. If you, anybody that wants to talk in the open session, come to the mic.
Hello again. I'm Lon Hazard. I live in Centerville on Porter Lane.
Good to see you again, Lon.
Yeah, good to see you. I've spoken a few times about the issues we have with the general plan in Porter Lane. And you recommended last time that I talk to some neighbors, bring some people in to show to gauge the level of concern, gauge interest in this, and that's why we have more people here today. Some may speak, some may not. Just who, if we get, or just a raise of hands, like who's here for this reason today? So, quite a few. So just to sum up the concern, I understand it's not set in stone, but the general plan states that at some point a signal is going to be placed at both ends of Porter Lane. And our goal here is, we understand it's not happening tomorrow, but our goal is to really just get ahead of the curve here and to avoid future traffic problems, flow problems, neighborhood problems, quality of life issues on Porter Lane, on Williams Lane, Windsor Lane, surrounding areas, and just be sure that the streets we're talking about here remain slow, safe, residential roadways that best serve us and serve Centerville as a community. And I just want to quickly run through what we believe, some of the issues I believe that we need to be concerned about. So each signal would come with its own potential cascade of things. If a signal is placed at Main, then we get obviously slower traffic flow, possible school congestion with Centerville Junior High, block some driveways, but probably of more concern for most people here, it can create a bypass for people that are skipping that are bypassing the Parish Lane left turn up on Main Street and cut through our neighborhood, and then that creates a slew of problems as well. So it obviously creates more traffic, more noise, and the problems that go with that, but it also causes overloading of that Parish Lane left turn on 400 West. So with that additional traffic, the need for a signal at 400 West would become a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if a signal was placed there, then we have another kind of cascade of problems. We have problems for Porter with noise and more traffic and so on. But probably the bigger problem is for residents on Williams, Windsor Lane, because that road is so close to Porter Lane. It's really just one yard away, one house yard away. It can make their neighborhood really difficult, even dangerous to get into and get out of if there's a light or a stop placed on Porter Lane. There's a way around it. They could take a circuitous route, but that sends them back to Porter, get more traffic on Porter. So, like I said, we're just trying to get ahead of the curve here. I understand, just looking at the bigger picture, we want to make sure that these suggestions and concerns, I hope, are worked into the general plan. And our goal is that a problem isn't inadvertently created by decisions that are made. For example, a zoning decision to increase density just above Main Street could require a light, which then results in that whole cascade of things which affects traffic all the way down to Parish Lane. I love the idea of a walking trail on Porter. I know that's in the plan. I hope that can be funded and that the city can aggressively pursue that rather than just widening the road for more cars. Also love the idea of considering a historic district. There's a lot of really old homes on Porter Lane, and I believe that adding as a historic district adds some more restrictions so someone can't come in, like take my yard, for example, which is kind of a small house on a big lot, and just put an apartment there. That's about all I have to say. Thanks for listening to me. Thank you to all the neighbors for showing up today. We love our neighborhoods. We love the town. We hope we can, preserve the reasons that we love it here. And I really just wanted to thank all of you on the council and the mayor. You've just for listening to me, having patience with all this. Thanks.
And Lon, we thank
Yeah.
you for the times you come. I know
Thanks.
you've come to 3 or 4 meetings, and you haven't spoke every meeting, but as we get into discussing the general plan, this is really useful to the council members to see how people in that particular area of our city, how they feel about it.
Thank you.
So we really do appreciate it.
Thanks. Just one more thing to the neighbors. I created a document that I sent to the mayor and council. If you want that, talk to me or send me a text and I'll send you a link.
Thank you, Lon. Others for general session?
Hi, Helene Huff. I live on Williams Lane. My husband and I have lived there for 33 years. Right now, getting out of Williams Lane sometimes takes a little while, but I feel like if a traffic light was put at Porter and 400 West, we would never get out of there safely. I'm also concerned about property values with having a traffic light so nearby and having the difficulties that would arise from a traffic light there. We can't afford to lose value in our house. That's our assisted living money. That's it. Thank you. We like things the way they are.
Thank you. We appreciate it. I like the sense of humor as well. Thank you. Others for open session?
Hello, my name's Ken Seiler. Thank you, Mayor and council members, for letting me speak. I have some questions about what is happening with the construction that's going on the frontage road on the north end. I understand that they're working on the drainage systems, but I'm seeing things that are making me rather quite concerned. There was a time when the grass was let go to go wild. It grew to the height of about 2 feet. And then there are a bunch of people that were out there with push mowers that had to mow it down. A lot of sidewalk has been torn up, the concrete, and it's been replaced with asphalt. Is it going to remain asphalt? Is it going to be put back in cement? It doesn't look very good. And then I have one other concern. Up at Lund Lane, where it meets the frontage road, there are some trees that are growing wild right there next to the street. Once a year, they get pruned back. And it's not taking care of the problem. Every year they grow back. You can't see around the bend, you can't see traffic coming on. The trees need to be removed and killed out. My son has a house right there. His backyard abuts the frontage road. There are some large trees that don't get anything done to them, and they're causing damage to his back fence. I don't know whether the city plans on doing anything about it, but I would like to know. That's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Ken. I used to take the frontage road every morning, but while I was under construction, I diverted myself to Main Street. You probably know that project was to improve the drainage underneath the freeway as when they come in to widen. And when they say they, it's going to be UDOT. It's not a city project to widen the freeway. So UDOT was doing that project. I can't speak to specifically. UDOT was supposed to be here tonight to talk more about the freeway construction, but we could certainly take questions of them, and some of my colleagues and city manager or public works director might know, but I would guess that the asphalt and the cement, that's going to be uniform at some point in time. I don't think we're going to have a sidewalk that's part asphalt and part cement down there. I'm sure.
So is UDOT responsible for the sidewalk as well?
They are, I believe, yeah. Yeah. So it's one of those deals that we hope that the freeway gets done sooner rather than later. But I think it's a 2027 or 28 date to start it, so. But in the meantime, the road's back open. I'll have to have somebody get to you on the trees that are growing wild on the Lund Lane, that we have your name, and if we can get back to you on that, then we can do that as well too. But that's a little bit about what was taking place with the frontage road, so thank you. Others for the open session? Come on up.
My name is Terry Nance, and I live on Canyon Breeze Drive, and I'm going to add concerns to the city plan or whatever to do the signal on Porter. Just Canyon Breeze is less than a block away from Porter, and getting out of that is sometimes tricky because the traffic is there, and it's doubly tricky when school is in session because you have parents picking up kids parked on both sides of the street, and kids coming across our outlet without watching. But we have another outlet. Guess what? It empties onto Porter Lane. So we really are stuck both directions. So it doesn't help. I would just ask the city council to think about what is the projection of growth in that area. From what I can see, I've lived there for 36 years. Everything is filled up from 400 West all the way up to the canyon. I don't see any new developments, any tract of land where new developments can come in. So what is the need to have more control over traffic on Porter Lane? I mean, the population is going to stay the same to me. So I just would ask you to consider that. We already do have a pedestrian light a block away, so that also backs it up a little bit. If your concern is to think about rationing the traffic onto Parrish, it works both ways. You can stop it for a little while, but you're going to back it up onto Parrish as well with another light. And I would also ask you to consider the cost versus just making the timing on the lights on Parrish last a little better so that you can control the traffic in and out of Parrish. Thank you.
Thanks, Terry. Thanks for being a resident, and thanks for your family helping out our city as well too. So.
Good evening. My name is Richard Stapler, and I'm here with my wife. We live on the historic property right at Porter Lane and 400 West, right on that corner. And we love Centerville. We've been here for many decades, and we appreciate everything that Centerville has done. We appreciate your service and your willingness to fulfill the positions that you're in. And we're grateful for your willingness as well this evening to take comments regarding the general plan and how you may potentially use these comments and consider the things that you need to as far as developing that general plan. I have three comments in particular, three areas I'd like to discuss. The first one is what has been discussed by Lon, which he so articulately described as far as the general concerns with respect to the Parrish or Porter Lane widening and potential lights that may go there, traffic lights in the future. To be brief on that part, I wholeheartedly, my wife and I, second those comments that he made and support them fully. And we're grateful for the effort and the thought that he's put into working with you and the community. The second area deals with one other point that he brought up, and that is well, before I get to that second point, let me just add the second part of that first one. And that is generally, he talked about, some of the impacts. More specifically, with my wife and I at that property right there at the corner of Porter Lane and 400 West, our driveway is approximately 55 feet away from the stop sign. And as even today, currently, to enter in and out of our driveway, particularly heading south on 400 West, and turning onto Porter Lane and then entering our driveway. You know, sometimes we feel like we're taking our life in our hands, depending on how many cars are behind us turning at the same time, because as soon as we make that turn onto Porter Lane, we're immediately turning into our driveway, and if cars aren't paying attention, you know, there's a potential for safety concerns there, and we have to take extra measures just to make sure that we don't get hit. With a stoplight there, that's going to back up even more cars in the turning lane. That raises additional safety concerns as well. So we're a little bit concerned, you know, specifically about being so close to that intersection, our driveway, if a traffic light were to be put in there, as well as be able to get out of our driveway if the light is red on Porter Lane and then we're trying to get out of our driveway with cars backed up. The second item is the historic district issue that Lon raised as well. I mean, it would be wonderful. We would love to see our home and down there into that area included in the historic district. Nathan Tanner Porter, according to his journals, built the house that we have on 400 West in 1850. It was one of the, you know, very early and first homes built here in Centerville. You know, the other home was also built by him there, and we would love to be part of that historic district and be recognized as such, and to recognize all that the Porters have contributed to this community over the many years. The third item is one dealing with, and I'm not sure if you're considering this for the general plan, if it's already in there or not, but we feel like perhaps some of the funds that may be used in some areas, as far as traffic improvements and so on, could serve the community very well if it were actually used to create a off-ramp off of I-215 to help alleviate the traffic on Parish Lane. And where that potentially might be a great place to have it is right where the new, heading north on I-215, where the West Davis corridor starts its off-ramp off of I-215. Right there, if a off-ramp could be created to frontage road, would seem like a wonderful place to alleviate traffic, to remove some of the traffic off of Parish Lane where it gets so crowded between Marketplace and I-215, because many of the people get off there to head north into their neighborhoods. And if there were an off-ramp right there at that area, there would be, I think, many people who would use that and would help to alleviate some of the congestion that we see at Parish Lane. So if that's something that you could consider in the future with the general plan, we'd appreciate that as well. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Richard. So UDOT's proposal for an off-ramp is probably not exactly like what you described, but it looks better than what we have right now as you come off and you don't know what lane to go to. I mean, it's got a bypass lane to get to the frontage road, and then that'll keep less traffic from hitting Parish Lane. So, but those are in UDOT's plans. You can look it up, or we can have somebody get them to you as well too. You know, but like the ideas. Thank you. Others?
Hi, I'm Jennifer Wilson, and as of tomorrow, I will have lived in this wonderful city for 40 years. So I have the same concern about the intersection and or light at 4th West and Porter. It would basically block us from getting into our division, which is the Williams division. You're sitting there and the light is green, and you need to stop and take a left-hand turn. And it's going to cause a lot of problems, not to mention the mailboxes that are along that way, so that now the mailman even is going to, I mean, obviously the mailboxes would have to be moved, and they're going south, and it would just cause a lot of problems and cut us off basically from our neighborhood access, which we've been taking for many, many, many years. Yes, we're willing to reroute, but it would cause a lot of traffic in other places that I don't think we want it at. So that's all I wanted to say, and thank you for serving. Appreciate it.
We appreciate you. Thank you.
I'm Kathy Luke, and I live on Windsor Lane, and we've been there since they developed it, 36 years ago? That was going to be our starter home, and we're still there. I just have a couple of things. Speaking of the general plan, it seems to me, and okay, I'm a Midwestern girl, our Main Street does not have personality. I mean, there isn't anything. There's just a modge podge of buildings, and I'd like to see something presented where we could actually have a Main Street that looks attractive and has some personality. Because Centerville's a great town, but I have family that visit from the Northeast and the Midwest, and they're like, where's your downtown? It's like, well, we don't have one. We have Target and Walmart. So just a consideration. If I don't know if businesses could afford to do something, or, it's just throwing that out there. I'm also concerned about the traffic on 4th West. It's something we tried to address when that street was first opened. And, finally we got a light for a crosswalk, which is great. But if that light's red, it's going to block all the way down 4th West south when people come through. And we will not be able to get out of our neighborhoods. And I know personally, I divert myself in through Ivory. I'm sure they don't appreciate it. But I go through Ivory and get out at the park across from Home Depot. So I don't have to bother. And I rarely turn left coming out because it's just too hard to get out. So in the past, sometimes south of Centerville has felt really neglected and dumped on. So I'd like to see that addressed, I guess, a way to divert traffic in a good way. And I'm not a traffic engineer, but I grew up with roundabouts, and a lot of people don't like roundabouts, but I could see how when the traffic's busy, it could keep the traffic flowing, but yet you could still get out. But we're always probably going to be faced for a long time about, the traffic on 4th West, just because we have so many businesses north of us. So, I don't know, you probably have to confiscate people's property to do a roundabout, so I don't know. Another concern I have, last summer was the first year that we've had rats in our yard. And it
Rats?
was rats.
Okay.
So ugly. I have taken down bird feeders, and the people who have gotten rid of their chickens, which is great. I mean, as neighbors, we're trying to deal with it, but it's a problem. And I think the creek on Porter Lane, that's part of the problem. I mean, the county has not cleaned that out in many years and has not trimmed it back. I'd hate to see the trees go because people depend on that for some privacy, but that creek really needs to be cleaned out. My son lives in West Bountiful, where he has the cement creek behind his house. He does have a mouse this year, or a rat, but this is the first year in all the years he's lived there. So I'd like to see something done with that creek, cleaned out at least, at bare minimum. So when we get water, it can run through.
Thank you, Kathy. So I want to add a couple of things, and hopefully it's fact and not opinion. I think it's fact, because I've heard some concerns here tonight in regards to, obviously, Porter Lane and that intersection. But I've heard traffic concerns as well too with 400 West, with frontage road, that type of thing. I think that the other day I was trying to leave my house to turn left onto Main Street to just go down 2 or 3 blocks to go play some basketball, and there'd been an accident on I-15, and just trying to turn left was ridiculous. It's like nobody's stopping. Coming. I mean, I thought I should have just walked over to it, But then I probably would have got hit trying to run in front of the cars because on the opposite of Main Street. So you're going to see some things happening on our streets that hopefully keep the traffic down. So with this additional lanes on I-15. So right now you see, if you drive Legacy, you see that they're expanding that. That was done because as they start shutting down lanes on I-15, they'd be able to divert more traffic onto Legacy, okay? And that's to be completed first before they come to I-15 to start shutting things down there. And that in theory, should help us and keep less cars off of our frontage road on 400 West and Main Street. But when we have an accident or something like that, or major construction, you know, we're at a narrow spot between us and the lake here where we're at, and we only have those two big main thoroughfares. So you may see some potentially more traffic on our streets if with shutdowns, with accidents, that sort of thing. But we're hoping, and you need to you understand that when I said UDOT's plans, UDOT has our ear. We have a great city engineer and a public works director and a city manager and a council and UDOT in respect to them is very good at listening. We have a state where you can work with local agencies and taking input, and they've made some changes with the off-ramp a few times based on meetings they had with us. I mean, ultimately they're going to decide, but we do have input with them, and so we try and influence them as well too. And you should realize that between Chase Lane and 1700 North this summer, starting July 15th, you're going to have, we need to replace some water lines in there because we've had 2 water breaks in the past year costing us a couple $100,000 each water break to fix, and losing 2 million gallons of water and 1.8 million the other one that we need to get that taken care of. But it will be after the parade, so but they will be doing that as well too. And why do we want to do that? Because we need to get to that now, because potentially if there are times that traffic's diverted as they're redoing I-15. But hopefully you realize that we're going to have that coming up, and I've heard those concerns. So Ken, a question with you. Yeah, I know I don't plan to sit there and say, hey, this asphalt part sidewalk and this cement other part sidewalk, it looks like crap, you know, and I don't want that to be a permanent situation. So
my main concern,
you know,
was is the city having to replace that
that's
sidewalk?
been a UDOT project, yeah.
Because
So
they're tearing up perfectly good sidewalk just to put asphalt down.
well, they had to get in to put the pipes in. So that's a little bit of, hopefully that was all fact. If I'm wrong on my facts, somebody please correct me. And I'm doing it because you'll get back to your neighbors, and you may not see this stuff through our Facebook pages or through other things, so you have a little bit knowledge of what's going on. More stuff on open session. Anybody else?
Hi, David Layton, Centerville. I have a different topic. I'd like to talk just for a minute about unsanctioned flags. I've noticed some unsanctioned flags in this room over time, and everybody's seen those, and I thought we'd probably just ignore it, it might go away. Obviously didn't. We had, maybe I'm late to the discussion here, it's probably been talked about in this meeting before. But I saw it come through on the public news and some of the political programs, and thought to myself, Centerville's in the news for this. So, but I guess maybe any news is good news. So, I know there's a complaint to the auditor's office, and there's a decision to be made by that office. But regardless of the decision, I propose that say that the city has an opportunity to write its own resolution that supports the state law that prohibits the unsanctioned flags, and I recommend that the city consider doing so. Thank you.
Thanks, David. Others on through the open session? Thank you, everyone that came tonight. Please, because I think a lot of you're here on the Porter Lane issue, some of you on other issues. Please look at our webpage. Please reach out. You can go to our website to find city council addresses, email addresses, to send us your concerns so we can bring these topics up at future meetings, and you're welcome to email me as well too. Please watch for future meetings as we discuss the general plan. As far as it relates specifically to Porter Lane, I think Lon here is a good person to reach out to, because Lon, look at how you get people out. I need to have you promote for my business or something. This is great. So we'll kind of use him as your spokesperson. So thank you, everybody, for your comments tonight. And with that, we will move on from the open session, and we'll go to our business items. So the first business item tonight is the public hearing on the fiscal year 2026 budget amendment. This is resolution 2026-18, and we'll have Nate come up and talk about those amendments.
Thank you, Mayor. So as Mayor mentioned, we have a budget amendment for the current fiscal year. Generally, I like to do, thank you, at least 2 of these a year, but I didn't do one for the first half of the year, so we'll just take care of it all right now. All right. So to start off, in the police department, we have 2 different items here. The first is the Citizens Academy that has a running balance that gets carried over from year to year. So that balance from the prior year was $1,000 that we're just proposing to carry over into this year. And then the second item is regarding the grants and donations that the police have received. There's been various of those. So last year, the outstanding balance of their donated funds was the $17,516. So we just need to pull that out of the fund balance to be able to use. And then this year, they've received about $22,750. Okay, next is in engineering. So these are related to the costs that developers pay for engineering fees related to their development. These fees get passed on to the developer, so we've received in excess of what we had budgeted for revenue, and so we're just recognizing that revenue and allocating it to the expense line. All right, in parks, we've exceeded our budget amount for both our grave openings and our overtime, which are related, because the majority of our, or maybe not the majority, but many of our grave openings happen on weekends, which requires overtime from staff to open and close those. So again, just recognizing the revenue and allocating it to their overtime expense. Yeah, in the community services, we received various donations for the 4th of July celebration. This is last year's celebration. So again, just recognizing those donations that we received and increasing the expense line to recognize that. Okay, in community development, this is...
Will you go back to that one?
Sure will.
So I'm probably missing something, but you've got the credit and the debit, but then at the bottom, we've got...
That's because I forgot to fix that. Good catch.
It was...
She just called you out.
It's not adding up, but you know, what do I know?
Good job.
I am like super impressed. She's learning journal entries. I could hire her. That's incredible.
I went through the thing twice trying to catch all those too. I missed it.
I missed it.
Good job. Hopefully there's not another one, but wouldn't surprise me if there was. Okay, back to community development, the general plan. If you recall, it's probably been about a year ago, we asked the company that was helping us with the general plan to go back and do the extra survey and put in that extra work to get more feedback. And so this extra cost is related to that we didn't have budgeted. Okay, so this is our annual transfer to our capital projects fund. So the state code allows our general fund balance at the end of the year to be between 5 and 35% of general fund revenues. For the past number of years, we've elected to keep a fund balance at about 30% and then transfer any excess fund balance to our capital projects fund. I think this has been a great strategy. This is what allows, this is the primary way of how we recoup those funds in our capital projects fund. So I think our department heads do a good job at trying to keep our operations expenses as low as we can, knowing that that extra stuff is what's going to help us maintain all of our capital assets. So again, we don't know what this number will be until this is the very last entry we make before we compile our financial report. So we don't know what that number will be, but we're just proposing that we keep it at 30% and then transfer the excess to our capital projects fund. All right, in our, this is a little bit of a precautionary budget amendment that we won't do unless we need to. I'm a little bit concerned about our rec fund. It's cutting it really close. I think we might go over. I think they think they'll be okay, so hopefully we won't need this. But just to try to avoid a finding in our audit, I'm suggesting that we transfer up to $10,000 to the rec fund, should they need it.
If you have to do that, will we be notified?
Yeah, we can let you know.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful.
Yeah, I'd like to know that if we're over $20,000.
Yeah, and then also in our recreation fund, we've received more participation in our programs than we had originally budgeted for our summer rec, our off-season, which is our ski school, and baseball. And so these amounts you see here are just recognizing that excess participation, and with that extra participation comes extra expenses. So again, we're just recognizing the revenue and allocating it to those expenses for those different programs. Okay, in the RAP tax fund, we are keeping the same distribution that we had originally budgeted, where of all the RAP tax funds that we receive, 85% goes to parks, 5% goes to the Performing Arts Theater, 5% goes to the Whitaker Museum, and then the rest stays in the RAP tax fund. The reason I put the to be determined amount is the issue arises if we receive more RAP tax than what we had budgeted, then when we try to follow this and transfer out those funds, if it's in excess of what we had budgeted, then that results in a finding. So this is again, a precautionary amendment that if we receive in excess of what we had budgeted, we'll still follow the same policy and the same distribution policy that we had, but this would just allow us to transfer those amounts to those specific areas without getting a finding.
Did we decide on 5% to the DCPA? Is that
That's what we've done
I thought
since
we
I've
did
been here.
I think Councilman Plummer is, right now, it's, like as Nate just said, allocated as it has been in the past. But that's always something at any point in time that I think that council has the option to relook at that.
I just thought it was a set number.
Are you thinking of the Bountiful Davis
I
Arts
guess
Center?
I am, yep.
So that's different.
Oh,
This
yeah,
is
yeah.
the
different.
center
Yeah, that is
point
our
fee.
budget, yeah.
Nope.
Yeah, I'm talking
Okay.
about percentages on the RAP
I
tax.
gotcha.
That was a specific amount.
It was a
You're right.
line item right there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
In the capital projects fund, we just have the one amendment, and this is for the sunshade for the new mower that they bought that was approved last July. It just costs a little bit more than what we'd originally budgeted. So this just covers that. It was approved back in July. Okay, in the Utopia Fund, this was an error on my end in our original budget. So our monthly bond payment is the same throughout the year, but then it increases in June of each year. So when I had budgeted this last year, I just took the amount and times it by 12, and that's how I got my budget. And I failed to remember that this increases in June, and I need to add that extra amount. So this is just essentially an error correction on my end. So we'll still pay the same bond amount that we would always pay. It's just fixing my budgeting error. All right, in the water fund, so this amendment is for water line projects that are paid for by developers. So when a developer comes in, they're responsible for paying the costs of their service to their project. And we've received more than what we had budgeted for this year. So this is just recognizing that and then allowing us to pay for that installation for those projects. And then finally in our drainage fund, this is for the subdrain relocation on Frontage Road. So with the I-15 widening project, with everything getting shifted to the east, they had to relocate the subdrain that runs along Frontage Road. So we pay the bill, but we get reimbursed by UDOT. So they're paying 100% of the costs for that. So this is just recognizing this nearly 2.3 million is what the project is estimated to cost. So this is just recognizing the revenue that we receive from UDOT to pay for that project. All right, and I think that's it. Just the next few slides here, just a summary. Here's the general fund summary, so you can see what the current budget and then the ending budget lines for each of those accounts would be. And again, here's the expense for the general fund. And this is on your separate document in your packet. But anyway, so that is our budget amendment. Are there any questions?
I have a question, Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilman Banger.
Yes, Nate, I just had several questions on this, and you've answered most of them. I appreciate that. Thank you. But one specifically that I didn't, well, on the general fund, 15 grand or so there, I was not on the council last year. I just want to understand, was that money paid to our consultant in addition to their agreed upon price? I know there were some extra surveys or something, but was that in addition to that?
Yes.
What was that?
Yes.
Said yes.
So we had our agreed upon service. Correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe there was feelings that the survey could have had a better outreach to people. And so council decided to send or kind of redo some of the surveys, send out a mailer, I believe was involved, get more feedback. And that was above what the contract originally listed.
So what he's saying
Okay.
is the council had approved an additional mailer to increase the amount of responses that we got on the survey.
Okay, but Somas got paid, I believe it was 129,000 per contract and another 15. So actually it's more like 144,000 that their input amounted to for citizens of Centerville.
Sounds about right.
He says
Okay.
that sounds about right.
Thank you. I just wanted to have that understood.
Other questions for Nate on this one? If not, this, like I said, this is a public hearing matter, so let's go to the public hearing. I'll go to a public hearing for fiscal year 2026 budget amendments that Nate Plazier, our finance director, just went over, and that public hearing is now open to any member of the public. seeing no input, I will close that public hearing. And we'll come back to any final questions for Nate. And if there is none, I would look for a motion on resolution 2026-18. No questions? Somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 2026-18, amending the fiscal year 2026 budget.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Further discussion? Let's vote to the right. Councilwoman Hirsch starts.
Aye.
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 Councilman Bangeter?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hayman?
Aye.
Thank you. That motion passes 5-0. Well, we got it up here, Nate. Let's go on to another public hearing matter in regards to the fee schedule amendment on the solid waste collection monthly service fee.
All right, thank you. So yeah, we are proposing to increase the fee for the collection of solid waste or our garbage. Through this fee increase, this would only affect your garbage or your black cans. We're not proposing an increase to recycling or green waste at this time. So just a little bit of historical information. Back in January, Wasatch Integrated Waste Management increased the fee to the city by $1 per black can. So due to this increase, we're recommending that we increase our fee to our customers by $1 per container. Some other increases that we've dealt with are with ACE, which is the city's contracted collector of our waste. We've had a number of increases with them, and their rate will be increasing again 5% as per our contract on July 1st. And you can see in the background, since 2023, we've had increases with ACE of, and 2023 was the last time that we increased our collection fees to our customers. But we've had a 7% increase, another 3%, and then 5% in the last 2 years. We've been able to absorb these by using our fund balance, but with this, and we're still proposing to absorb the ACE portion of this, but recommending that we essentially pass on that dollar that we're getting hit with for Wasatch Integrated. So that would bring our the fee every month for our first black can would go from $15.55 to $16.55, and then each additional black can would go from $13.49 to $14.49. And you can see our, I included in your packet the spreadsheet that we usually use to determine our rate. And you'll see that our proposed rate is lower than that yellow portion where it says new rate. It is lower, and again, that's because we're still proposing to use fund balance to absorb some of those costs. But just wanted to provide you with this information since this is the formula that we've historically used. So yeah, with that, are there any questions?
So we're not passing along 100% of that cost. That is subsidized with the fund.
With our fund balance, yeah. Yeah, we have about 319,000, give or take, in our fund balance right now.
This is in the sanitation fund?
In the sanitation fund. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So we think we can absorb some of that cost, at least through this next year. Our contract with ACE is up at the end of this year, at the end of the next fiscal year. So we have one more year with them, at which point we'll probably be going out for RFP, and we'll reevaluate our fee schedule again at that point.
So Nate, this is Councilman Member Bangeter. I have another question on this. I submitted an email, Brent, yesterday morning, just requesting that we take a look at what our neighboring cities are charging for sanitation fees for their garbage cans, and and, oh, what do you call it? The green can, recyclable can. And I just, it's always important to me to look at what our neighbors are doing and what fees are for comparable cities. I hope that maybe we'd have some information, a comparable study of what our neighboring cities are doing. Did you have time or chance to do that?
Yeah, I believe our Public Works team put this together. So they had sent me that Clearfield charges $17.75. This is for trash, so your black can, $17.75. Farmington is $20. Sunset is $23.65. Fruit Heights is $20.50. Kaysville is $15.35. West Point, $14.30, which I noticed they're asking for a rate increase tonight. So that's their old rate. And then Bountiful is $8.
Which we've learned, comparison to Bountiful is difficult.
Well, in this case, they own their landfill.
They have their landfill,
So they
so
don't-
it's gonna be significantly different.
As well as their own collection service.
And their own
I was
collection.
gonna say they have their collection service too.
Yeah. You gave us about 8 or 9 or 10 there, didn't you? And we're probably about the
7.
third or fourth cheapest, it sounds like, even with the raise, it looks like. Is that correct?
5th
So we're right in the middle
of those cities that were.
of those
And-
8 or 10.
And I think that is comforting and helpful to know. I mean, this is we have to send this out. This is a company that provides this service. So regardless, we're going to have to pay the fee because that's the deal we got. And,
Yeah,
Dave,
so,
when you get a chance, will you attach those comparisons to the packet, so it's just there as a reference?
yeah, you bet.
that would be
So just with our fee that we pay to ACE and to Wasatch Integrated, that total for the first black can is $13.69. And then that extra $3 that we charge our customers, that covers everything else, like our printing and postage, our banking fees, our software fees.
Replacement cans.
Yeah, cans, your glass recycling, the spring cleanup. So that's why there's a little bit billed on top of what we're directly charged.
That is helpful to know, and thank you for that information. I would appreciate maybe each of the council members get a copy of those kinds of reports. And then can I just ask, with the contract with Ace Disposal, and their contract would need to be renewed next year, is there a built-in escalation to what they charge each year based on some factor? Like, can we expect a raise on next year's rates from them before their contract comes renewable again?
Yeah, so our original contract with ACE allowed for 2 contract extensions. So the first extension covered, it was based on CPI, so that was the 7-ish%, which was what CPI was that year. And then the contract said that it would be CPI not to exceed 5% the next year, so that's when it ended up being about 3%. And then the second amendment that the second extension that we are currently in had a built-in 5% increase. So we don't have anything on contract beyond that.
So that was an extension to the contract which included an escalation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the original contract only allowed 2 extensions, which we are currently in, so we'll have to have at least a new contract next year.
Thank you.
Other questions? You guys ready to go to the public hearing with this then? You can in the public hearing. When I open it up, you can come up on the public hearing. So I'll open it up to public hearing, then you can come up, okay? So this is a public hearing matter regarding a fee schedule amendment on the solid waste collection monthly service fee. Just please identify yourself, where you're from, if you're commented. Boom, you come up. You can come up. The public hearing is now open on this issue, okay?
Okay,
If your question's on this issue, then perfect.
okay, you did the additional fee for the second can? Are you talking just the trash can, or are you talking the second can is the recyclable can?
Trash can.
We're only raising the black can.
What?
We're only raising we're only raising the black can. We're not raising the recycle or the green can.
Okay, and then the price for a replacement can, is there any chance of going back to the original trash can size? I had to replace one of my cans, and I lost about a third of the size of the receptacle.
It
Oh,
got smaller.
you're saying
Yeah, they're
that
smaller.
the can that was, yeah, that's,
The new can that came out holds far
But
less
they
than
make
the
nowadays.
original one. Or do
Yeah.
I have to wait for a canyon wind to come up and go down to the frontage road?
yeah, nope, that's what we get now. Do you have anything else, or was that?
No, that's
Okay, thank you. Others on the public hearing matter? If not, then I'll close the public hearing. Nate, come back up, help, if we didn't get Ken's questions answered, I think we did. Let's try and answer them for him, because we always respond to public comments, if any, but I think we did.
So I can just clarify that.
Okay, clarify, thank you.
So we're proposing that we're increasing the fee $1 per can for just your black can. So the first can would increase $1, and then the fee for each additional container would also increase $1, and that's additional black can container. The fees for recycling are staying the same, and then the fees for all of the green waste cans are staying the same as well.
Thank you for that clarification. All right,
I'm concerned about the size. I just heard about this. That concerns me, is that we asked for a service, we negotiated the service based upon the facts that we had at this time, and they had a specific size of can, and we were then charged for that specific size of can, and we've been operating under that. Now they changed the size of the can, but we're still required to pay the same amount. That's concerning to me.
I'll look to my public works team. I have not heard of a can change.
Like, the size of the can changed? Like, I mean,
I can tell you that we
The
own,
old garbage cans that have been around for 25 years might have been a different company, but Ace is the one that provides the cans, correct, Mike?
no, so we own the city owns the black cans and the green cans. Ace owns the blue recycle cans.
But who brings the cans? My understanding was it was Ace bringing them, no?
No, Ace brings
They
the
are
recycled
different.
cans.
Black
but-
cans that Public Works takes care of. So we order them and buy them. The original ones we had, I think the bottoms were a little bit bigger. Now they've necked them down, but they're out a little bit wider.
Yeah.
To my knowledge, they hold the same.
So the volume
Other
is
than
the
what
same.
he's probably getting at is the bottoms might be narrower. That's harder to get in, but we'll check into it and see. But my knowledge is it's about the same.
The tops were like this big,
Yeah.
and the ones that I got now are like
So
this
the
big.
black cans that I have at my house, which we've had for 25 years, are bigger than the recycle can. The new black cans I've seen look more similar to the recycle can. I think that's where
It's a
I'm not
different
saying that's,
manufacturer. The ones that you guys have got they used to recycle them. Now we can't get them recycled anymore. I think we're down to one vendor. I don't think there's an optional vendor.
I'm not contesting anything. I'm just saying, what I've
Information
seen
I'd
when
like to
people
know
say
as
they get
well.
a new one, it seems like it's the size of the green and the blue can, but my black cans are bigger than the green and the blue.
Yeah, we'd have to check on that. I'd have to ask Mark. Mark would know, but I'd have to get back with you on that one. I can send it out in the grant report this week.
I would like to know if it's got,
Sure.
what the volume difference is, if there
If
is.
it is, I don't think it's much, but I'll check. It can be the, you know, the configuration, I think is a different, but we'll find out.
Configuration doesn't, I just want to know the volume. How much can you put in the old ones versus the new ones? And that will help me understand.
Look in the grant report and I'll tuck that in there this Friday,
Okay.
Thursday.
Okay. To me, that's the only thing I'm thinking, if it was really a third less, we're paying them to haul a third less away.
It maybe tried to get a bigger can.
Yeah, we should be
If it
figuring that
is
one
in
out.
fact its size difference, but maybe it's not, maybe it's like you said.
I'll
They
check
do
and
look
see.
smaller. I think they're a little bit, I think he's right.
Could be. That may be all we can get as well, so. But then again, that's
That's concerning
negotiation,
too.
which you'll be doing next year probably, right?
We need more options. So you're saying we need to open a garbage can manufacturing business?
Might be like a side hustle
Exactly.
for you, Brian, besides your side hustle.
That's right.
Is there a particular urgency to our passing this resolution tonight on the waste disposal? Could we consider tabling this for a couple of weeks until we find out what the cubic foot capacity is of the new cans?
Well, that doesn't have
doesn't
anything to
change
do
the
with
What that
them.
to do with it?
We're saying we buy our own cans. So if we've made them smaller, that's not Aces. The city buys the black cans. So
Yeah.
we can't go back to Ace and say, hey, we're buying smaller cans. We need to
Well-
find out if we can
That's
get
a
regular
separate-
size.
Well,
It is a separate.
We certainly could go back to our contractor who's providing the service and say, hey, you're handling less capacity of waste because the cans we're providing are smaller. Can we reconsider adjustments to our prices for our waste disposal from you?
But my two garbage cans are the same size, so I don't know that that's gonna be,
I think that's going to have to go into this next negotiation.
I agree.
And I think that ultimately tabling, I think we're just passing along a fee increase from the provider, and it's not going to change
It's a
either
tipping
way.
fee increase, right? It doesn't matter what the amount is, it's a tipping fee.
Doesn't matter
increase.
what the size of the can is.
You could have 3 black cans that are small or 1 big one, it's still the tipping fee is what's increasing. We're absorbing the 5% increase.
So with that said, who wants to give me a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve resolution number 26-19, amending the Centerville fee schedule regarding solid waste service fees.
I'll second that.
Got a motion and a second. Councilman Plummer, you want to start the voting?
Aye.
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 Councilman Bangerter?
Aye.
Councilwoman Hayman? So it sounds like 5 ayes. Okay, let's go to, thank you, everybody. Let's go to the certified tax rate. Nate, am I going to get myself in trouble tonight?
I don't know, are you?
I came down pretty hard. I felt bad at Fire Board yesterday because I wasted their time talking about certified tax rates and how long the state takes to get the rate to us. Because you and I had a nice little meeting, and they want us to set this budget, but they wait until almost our fiscal year. Anyway, I'm going to do the same thing tonight, so I better stop. So let's talk certified tax rate.
Yeah, I probably share many of the same feelings with you. We do get, to your point, we have a limited window that we received our certified tax rate on last Friday. It was due on June 13th with this recent change by the legislature. And then we have to set the tax levy by June 22nd or September 1st in the case of a property tax rate increase. So you'll see that the auditor's certified tax rate came in at 0.001137 and would generate the $2,368,383 in property tax revenue. And this includes $37,331 of new growth revenue. As we've discussed through the budget process, the city is proposing a tax rate increase that would provide an additional $369,103 of revenue, and this would set the tax rate at 0.001314, which represents a 15.61% increase. I know I've given this presentation a number of times this spring as we've talked budget, but I think as we get a new audience, when people see this on the agenda, if you'll entertain me going through this presentation again, because I know property tax rates can be difficult to understand until you've dealt with it for a long time, and even then they're still difficult to understand. So I'll just go somewhat briefly of how these work. So these were the rates. As I said, we have to set the rate by June 22nd, or at least propose the rate, and then we have to set our final rate by September 1st if we're seeking a property tax increase through the truth and taxation process. As we mentioned, these are the reasons that we've listed on our property tax impact schedule of why we are asking for the increase. The first reason is for a new police officer. The second reason is our fire assessment has increased, so we're asking to cover that increase. And then the third reason is to cover the increased medical insurance costs. And I will also note that for any member of the public that's here, we do have the property tax impact schedule on that chair by the door. So feel free to take a copy if you would like. And it's also on our website. So when we talk about increasing our tax rate, it's important to note that we are only talking about Centerville's portion of the pie here. On your tax bill, you'll see a number of different taxing entities. But when we talk about a tax rate, we're not talking about your bill as a whole. We're talking about increasing just the Centerville portion, which makes up about 12% of your total tax bill. All right, so the way property taxes work in Utah is that property taxes are revenue-based. So it's based on the amount of tax dollars we collected the prior year. So the state law says that we receive the same property tax revenue year after year unless at least one of two things happen, and that's the first, that the city has new growth, which we did experience this last year. So our new growth, we would have received the same dollar amount we received last year, but we got new growth in the amount of $37,000. So that's new revenue that we get automatically. And then the second way it can increase is if we enact the truth and taxation process, which comes along with increasing your tax rate. So to calculate your property tax bill, you simply take the taxable value of your property and multiply it by the tax rate, and then this gives you the amount of property taxes you owe. The tax rate is the same for all properties, but the taxable value can vary from property to property. All right, so I like to look at this as a teeter-totter. So as I said, your property tax revenue stays the same year over year unless you have new growth, which means when your city property values increase, your tax rate decreases. And this is what we saw this year when we got our certified tax rate. So our average value as provided by the county, last year it was $582,000. This year the average home value in Centerville is $610,000. So the value's increased. And then you'll see there at the bottom that our tax rate in 2025 was 0.0012. And this year, because our property values increased, the rate decreased to 0.001137. So here is a historical graph of where Centerville's tax rate has been at its highest back in the late 90s. It was just shy of 0.16%, and then at its lowest in 2008, it was about nine and a half maybe. You'll see at the very end there, I have in the blue line shows where the 2026 certified tax rate is. And then if approved with this proposed tax rate, you can see what the graph would do as shown by the little red mark there. All right, this is the updated list based on the certified tax rates. Any city with the asterisk after it are there cities that are seeking tax increase through truth in taxation this year. That's about half the cities in the county. So again, this is the certified tax rate, not what they are proposing. I don't remember the exact numbers of what they're proposing, but I know if our proposed tax rate if everybody's proposed tax rate was adopted, essentially us and Clearfield would switch spots because Woods Cross is going for a significant rate increase that would put them at about number 3, about 3rd on the list. So anyway, this gives you a good comparison to know where other tax rates are at, but everybody is in such a different financial situation, has a different economic base. We have a really strong sales tax base here, meaning businesses that provide a lot of sales tax for us that is a benefit to the residents because it keeps your property tax rate lower than maybe a city like Fruit Heights that has very limited commercial and sales tax base. So anyway.
Along those lines, I'm glad you brought that up. Knowing these cities as well as I do and their mayors, I look at that and there's a direct correspondence and correlation to other revenue sources that these cities have. You brought up Fruit Heights, they have Cherry Hills, that's it. Yeah, so West Point's growing, so I can see why they're going out. But yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, not completely 100% correct, but yeah.
And Clearfield, if I might just add, Clearfield has a lot more new growth than some of the other cities in this.
Multifamily new growth.
Multifamily new growth, indeed. So.
Which generates more revenue and not as much improvements to infrastructure because it's roads, right? Instead of spanning miles, it's isolated. So anyway, you have less infrastructure to support that large amount of growth.
Yeah, and that's why I don't, absolutely love this comparison, but
West Point contracts their police, and I think that, and so you're getting a heck of a deal, but your services are not as great as having your own police, right? Right, Chief?
And is West Point the only one that contracts their police? Sunset has their own police force, small one. I talked to their mayor the other week. They have like 11 officers or something, but yeah.
South Weber contracts.
South Weber, that's it, yeah.
All right. So then on to some commonly asked questions that we get. Are property taxes affected by inflation? No. Meaning, when your home value goes up, that does not mean that your property tax automatically goes up. Again, the city gets the same amount of revenue. The tax rate is adjusted based on the values of the city. So the rate is fluctuating every year, just like values. It's not, just because your home value has gone up does not mean your property tax rate has gone up.
And Clearfield is a city who holds truth in taxation every year just to match and keep their certified tax rate the same. So if you imagine back in the 90s, we were at 16. If we just said, you know what, your home values are going up, so therefore the property taxes. That's kind of the model Clearfield's taken. We don't necessarily take that, not necessarily popular, but I'm just sharing you with other models other cities do.
So they're keeping their certified rate the same, so in effect, most years they're doing a tax increase.
Yep. Yeah, and then, again, so if your value of your home's going up, we're just keeping your rate. You anticipate this is going to be the percentage you'll pay every year.
Yeah, right, if the value of the home's gone up. If the value of the home's gone down, that hasn't happened for a long time, then they got the opposite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So another question we commonly get is, so the city last raised its tax rate through the truth and taxation process in 2022. So if the city hasn't raised them since then why is my property tax bill going up? There's two possible reasons. One is that another taxing entity, like the school district or the county, has raised their rates through the truth and taxation process, so that affected your overall bill. The second is that your property may have increased in value at a faster rate than the rest of the city, which may affect your specific property. However, the city did not see that increase as a whole because we get the same amount of revenue year after year. And I have a little example of that I've shown before, but I'll go over it again. So this is just a mock city that has a taxable value of 1.2 million. So you can see that in year one, their tax rate is the 0.00125. And then those numbers in blue underneath each house are the amount of taxes they would pay at that tax rate. Going on to year two, you can see that home values went up for each of those houses, some at a different rate than others. But since the values as a whole increased, the tax rate decreased. So it brought the tax rate, you remember we were at 1.2 million taxable value, now we're at 1.65. So now the tax rate decreased to 0.00091. The city still collected the $1,500 in taxes. And then you can see in blue the amount of taxes that each home would pay based off of this. And you can see how it would affect different homes, so that some, because their value went up at a higher rate than the city as a whole, their tax bill went up a little bit, and others that, although it increased but not as quickly as the city as a whole, they actually pay less tax than they did the prior year. So it's kind of an interesting study to show that based on how your specific property value shifted compared to the city as a whole may affect your value from year to year, even though the tax, the city collects the same amount of tax year over year. All right, so how will this tax increase affect the average resident? So in 2026, as we mentioned, the average home value was $610,000. Remember that residential properties receive a 45% discount, so it lowers your taxable value to the $335,500. So if you were to adopt the certified tax rate, then the average home would pay $381.46 in Centerville City property taxes. As mentioned, we're proposing that 15.61% increase. And if adopted, then the average home would pay the $440.85, which is an increase of $59.38 a year, or $4.95 a month. If you don't mind, if I share my own opinion, and like Mayor said earlier, I think it's fact. But what does this $440 a year get you? Well, that gets you public safety responding to you anywhere within the city in a matter of minutes. That actually increases our service level of public safety because we're adding an additional officer. As I was thinking about our city, I'm pretty sure we have a park within reasonable walking distance, no matter where you live in the city. I think you can essentially walk to a park. If not, you can drive to any one of our parks in less than 10 minutes. And we can drive on roads that are very drivable. You think of even our road in its worst condition, in my opinion, that's probably 4th East, where there's been a number of...
I was just gonna say, we can drive on all of them except for these.
Right. And even that road, despite its bumps at the current moment, is very drivable in any type of vehicle. I mean, our roads are very well maintained. Sidewalks, while certain areas certainly need repair and we have budgeted money to do those, we have sidewalks that are in generally very good shape. So I think of the value that your average home pays $440 a year. but gets all of those things for that cost.
Oh, plowing, right, it's endless. Like plow your road so you can get out of your home. I mean, it's a heck of a deal.
Yeah, I think it is a very good cost for the value. Anyway, so there's a little bit of my opinion there. But I do think we're very fortunate to live in a very good community that has excellent services for a generally affordable price. So anyway, there's the average, or there's the impact to your average home. The county also provided us with the average commercial property value at $1,775,000. So with that tax increase, that would increase your average commercial property $314 a year, or $26.18 a month. So anyway, I believe that is all I have. I will note in your adoption of the tax rate, should it include the increase, we also need to set the time, date, and location of our truth and taxation hearing. And the date that we have on the calendar with the county right now is August 25th at 6 p.m. to be held here at City Hall. Are there any questions?
I guess not, so.
I have one question, sorry.
Yeah, I guess so. Go ahead.
And it's kind of, this is one that I probably should have asked a while ago, but that $250,000 for the officer, that's not all going to be recurring, is it? Is that the whole, is that going to be a annually recurring expense, or is there some onboarding cost there that is not going to be seen in the next year's budget?
I believe all of it is recurring, with the exception of the vehicle, which is on a rotation.
Okay.
So it does have a recurring cost, but not buying a new vehicle year after year.
Okay, thank you.
All right, so we are looking at Resolution 2026-17. Remember, whoever gives me the motion that you're setting the real and personal property tax rate, and you're also at that figure, and you're also setting the date, time, and location of the public hearing.
What day is that? August 25th?
August 25th at 6. It's
Last Tuesday.
Mayor, I'd just like to make a comment that this is Councilmember Bangeter, that while I appreciate and would love to have been able to see and say that we had unanimous agreement on that tax rate, I just can't do that. I won't be supporting that high of a tax rate. I fully understand and appreciate, and I'm on the record, that I believe needs justify an increase. I believe we're a little high. And I've suggested several specific ways I felt we could look at to consider reducing that 15% to some degree. Has gained little traction and no support, well, very little support. But given that, I will not be supporting that high of a tax increase.
Well, I'd like to say that I also had thought of some ways that we could decrease expenses, and you didn't agree with me on that. So, but I'm going to have to support this at this time so that we can get the public input into the property tax impact schedule and the proposed tax increase. So with that, I'm going to just attempt this and make a motion to pass Resolution 2026-17, setting the 2026 real and personal property tax rate for the general fund for Centerville City, Utah, and to have that truth and taxation hearing for August 25th, 2026 at 6 p.m. at Centerville City Hall.
I think that works pretty good.
You need the
Do we need
actual
to say
number.
the tax rate itself?
Yeah, sorry.
And the
you-
tax
yeah,
rate
Give
would
us the
be-
tax rate.
Set at .001314.
I'll second that.
I'll second that motion.
You want to have her do the second?
She absolutely can be the one.
Councilman Hayman
Perfect.
has the second. Okay. All right, let's vote. Councilwoman Meekum.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Councilman Banger.
Nay.
Councilwoman Hayman.
Aye.
Thank you, council. And I know that you've seen a little frustration out of me on how long we took on the budget, but by and large, I appreciate what everybody did. I think my frustration mainly stems from when we came finally, and as we go into the next, we're going to skip after this to the setting the calendar for the general plan discussion. I think my frustration mainly comes that when we finally got to the point, and somebody submitted a good suggestion to have you all send something individually to Brant and I think Nate was maybe on that as well too. Then we were able to really see what each one of you was bothering, and if there was things unanimously bothering you, we were able to address those, and I think it went a lot smoother at that point. But with that said, I didn't see anything from anybody that reduced their spending to the extent that we didn't have to take money from Fund 47. Okay, I think the most I saw was 132,000, and even the 132,000 doesn't reach the 390. I just haven't seen that where we don't have to take money from Fund 47. We're still taking money from Fund 47. So,
And Mayor, if I could add to that, it's not 361,000, it's $1.5 million. So if we come up with a really good plan to reduce our budget by 1.5 million, then no property tax increase is necessary. So regardless if we decide to take 20,000 here, 100,000 there, 50,000 here, the grand scheme is 1.5 million. So any amount of 15%, 10%, 20% is slowly chipping away at what that shortfall is, because our use of fund balance is not sustainable at this point.
right.
Nate and I, again, this is a future conversation, but Nate and I have been working on this budget for 5 years to try and find and cut areas and make it more transparent, such as medical insurance. So we're finding money in different pockets where we kind of have some fluff, so to say. It's all gone, so we would have money in the medical insurance side saying, well, just in case when employees not sign up for medical today and they sign up tomorrow, there's $25,000 in there to pay for that premium. We took all that away. We are more exact on what we're doing and more accurate and more, dare I say, transparent in what actually the true cost is of running government. But Nate and I have been making sure and trying to make sure we don't have property tax increases in the past, but that's done. Right now we are truly looking at this is the cost to run, and there's no more pockets to reach into to find any change, right? So 1.5 million is our shortfall. And so we're going to have some serious conversations over the next year or two to look at what that takes to chip into that. So as we talk about a potential cemetery of $7 million and that impact to our residents and what that's going to be on top of our potential increases just to run the city, that's going to be the true challenge.
Well, that's a property tax increase if we ever do that, because the bond's going to increase the property taxes.
And you can argue revenue will cover that, but it will not cover the cost.
And I think Councilman Plummer brought up.
Under,
Just a sec, Councilman Banger. Councilwoman Hurst is speaking.
Councilman Plummer brought up a good point that, one of the things that we have to balance is level of service versus property tax increases. It's always hard to increase taxes. That's not popular. That said, this gives now residents a chance to come in and weigh in. If they want less service and they don't want the 15% increase, they now get that opportunity to come and tell us. And I think that that's the goal here in this particular resolution. And I appreciate the way that you responded on that. I think that was an important part, that it's now an opportunity for the residents to come in and let us know if there's something particular. But yes, they're gonna have to show us where, and it will be a cut in services.
And 11% of that, again, is a new officer. So we're not talking about, only thing that's built into this is 3% to manage the inflationary costs that we're experiencing, which is well beyond what we actually experienced in the budget. We are not keeping up with even with the 15%. Primarily, this is to support public safety. Again, I'm not arguing against it. I'm just saying that's the reality. We're adding a service, and that's the cost to add the service to increase our level of service in public safety.
And I appreciate what you said. And the point I was trying to make is, yes, the 1.5 million shortfall. We're proposing a property tax increase which covers from the tax impact schedule 390,000 of that 1.5 million. Okay, so even if we and what I was trying to say is coming from all of you, I didn't even see anything reaching 390,000 to eliminate that 15 point, and then we're taking another 1.2 or whatever from Fund 47. So that's just the point I was trying to make. That yes, and I like what y'all said. I mean, let's see what the residents want to give up. You know, so.
And may I just make the point as well, council members, and mayor, we have spent a lot of time on how to raise taxes, how much and whatnot. The key, please let's not lose sight of the light at the end of the tunnel and the opportunity that economic development can bring to solve some of these problems to a much greater degree. The majority of our revenue comes from sales tax. And businesses, promotion and opportunities. We have opportunities coming up. Hopefully the generative plan is going to help us facilitate that on the west side and development. And by golly, we need to devote some time, energy, and attempt to increase businesses and economic development in our community to relieve taxpayers of the burden that their property taxes puts on them now. That's enough
I
said.
agree. That's why it's so important we get to this general plan, because we have not laid out in our city through a comprehensive general plan where that economic development can come from in the future. Right. We got to get through that.
I completely agree with you, Councilman Bangerter. That's going to take some time, and it is going to take a really solid general plan to help facilitate and move that along. But I am in complete agreement with you on that. That's a great idea, and it needs to happen. But it's going to take time, and it is not sustainable to burn through 1.2 million. That's not going to take very long to burn through any bit of rainy day fund that we have. So I think this is a good balance, and I think staff did a great job trying to balance that out.
And you know, I also support economic development, but that also is going to require an investment, right? Whether it's personnel, studies, contracting. So economic development is huge. There definitely, if you do this right, there's a return on investment, and that takes time. But first, we actually have to make that initial financial investment, right? So, and trying to squeeze it out what we currently have would be difficult, because that's an increase in our level of service we provided. Needed, for sure. But I just want to be realistic that that's going to require an investment from the city first.
Understood, and that's absolutely true. It's going to require a little investment, and we'll hope we do it in a very wise way so that it's economically viable and helpful in the long run. So
very good, agreed.
All right, let's go. We're going to skip to item number 7, and then we'll come back before. Item 7 is just getting a schedule of how we want to approach the general plan. So when Brent and I talked about this, we wanted to give everybody an input on this. I'm going to start out by laying out a proposal. Mike Eckett's coming up as well too, of how maybe we want to approach this, and then Am I missing something?
Jennifer is doing okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to report
Nate just
Jennifer.
startled me.
I'm going to start a proposal based on what I learned from our budget discussions with the makeup of our council that we have now, of maybe how we approach this. You know, we only meet twice a month, sometimes 3 times a month if there's a third Monday. So if we take 10 meetings to do this, it's going to take 5 months. I don't think we want to take 5 months to get through the general plan. So I'm throwing out there that, similar to what we did near the end of the budget session, that maybe I'll submit to myself and Bran and Mike Eggett, each section of that general plan, your concerns, and we can get some consensus of the highest concerns where all 5 of us are concerned, or 4 of the 5 are concerned, and we can, boom, hit those big ones right off the bat. And if there's areas that only one of you are concerned and it's really small, I mean, we might have to touch on it quick or not touch on it all, but, and get an idea and direction first before we just start struggling along with it. And then kind of put ourselves, what do we want, maybe, I'm proposing maybe a couple work sessions, maybe a third, and then a council meeting where we have a public hearing on it and see how the public feels about it at that point in time or what we bring to them. I'm just throwing something out to get something going, and Brent's got an idea too, but
Yeah,
I haven't even discussed what I just threw out there with Brent. I just was thinking of what finally became effective in the budget discussion.
No, we talked about that, and the other intent of hearing what your thoughts are before we go into it, it's not this gotcha moment, but at least if other council members have an opportunity to digest what the concern is so they can research it themselves, instead of having this meeting where Councilmember Meekum presents an idea and Councilmember Plummer's like, oh, interesting, let me think about it, and I'll get back to you at the next meeting. But now Councilmember Plummer has an opportunity to research potentially that concern and come prepared to deliberate it, so we're all effective instead of just taking time. So, and again, I would recommend, Mayor, I didn't bring this up with the mayor, but a dedicated special work session. We have items that need to come up in the work sessions, like Mike Romero with UDOT wants to present at the next meeting. So there might be one day we just need to find, and maybe Jennifer will help coordinate it, that we just schedule one off week where we have 3 to 4 or 5 hours. We just digest it.
And that's what, kind of like, I was going to suggest that too, kind of like what we did with the budget session.
Right.
You know, where boom, we're able to hit the general plan, you know, and really knock out some stuff. Now, I believe this is being fully transparent because we're not all 5 of you, you know, going back and forth in emails. We don't do that. You're all sending your own little email to us of your greatest concerns of sections of the plan. So if we go into those special sessions with something to discuss, and I know some of you have put some real serious time into it, that I appreciate you doing that, and I do not want to waste, those of you that have put that time into it, that waste that time that you have put into it, that you've learned good educational things from it.
We asked Mike if he's okay with what we have going on.
And Mike came
if he has any other thoughts.
up the front, so.
Sorry, I'm just aggressively taking notes. I think it's a great idea. I think it allows every council member to have individual input and then collaborate with that input. So I think that's a great starting point to work through maybe some of the tougher discussion points of the plan. So I'm supportive.
Did you have anything else? Because you were coming up the front before you heard what I just said, and I hadn't run that by you.
No, I'm here in case, Mayor and Brandon and Council, I'm here in case there's just questions or any need, but I'm quickly taking notes, and I'll go back and review hearings, and we'll do the same thing. I will note, like with future work session discussions as well, my plan would be to very clearly listen closely to commentary as I work on edits and things that are brought up as there's consensus established. So that would be my plan working forward and however you want to proceed. And I also would note that it is your plan. I can't reiterate that enough. It is your plan. So ultimately what the council decides to do with the plan will be what we do moving forward. So that's all I'd like to add, Mayor.
Thank you. And we're having this discussion, Brandon and I and Mike have expressed our opinions. to see how you like that, or any ideas on how we can tweak it?
I like that a lot. I think it was very helpful to get that input on the budget, just to get, I mean, I know some of those things had been brought up, but to have it all in writing in one spot that we could kind of, you know, see where the consensus was, and also just to be reminded, you know, okay, these are the top 5 things that this council member is concerned about. Yeah, I like it.
Okay, that is thought, anybody else with some other thoughts? I mean,
I
how you'd like to
like
approach
it. I don't want to take it into too big a chunks. I'm not panicked over 5 months, because you look, we've already gone years. It's really, really important. We paid $150,000, and it's super important. 5 months is going to pass one way or the other, so I'd rather get it right than try to rush it. I want time that I can come in. I don't want you to say, okay, we're going to do 5 hours. We're going to do the whole general plan in those 5 hours, because I can't do that. I want you to give me a section of the general plan so that I can be very well prepared on that. I really like your plan of doing that. I'd like that ahead of time, so if Gina says, this is something that I'm concerned about, and I didn't pick that up, I have a chance to chime in and say, I'd like to put another line by Gina, because I agree with that, so that I can see what other people's concerns are. That's one, if we're not doing it that way, and we are sitting at a work table, and Gina says something, I can say, oh, I hadn't thought about that. Yeah, maybe. But with that, so I don't want to discount people that only have 1 or 2 people on that item if, you know, I hadn't thought about it. So I would like that in advance so that I can look at that and then have a chance to comment as far as, you know, I agree with Gina, or I agree with Brian, or I agree with Rick on certain things that I didn't think of, or they may, you know, they'll probably agree with everything I put on there, so they'll all want the chance to do that. But
there's one other thing that I think we need to discuss as far as how, I do like the approach, and I guess, Robin, I think if it takes more than 5 hours, maybe we have to schedule another special session to get through it, because it does seem like it's
absolutely
rather
cannot go
difficult.
through that whole
I'll
general
say, no,
plan.
so the intent is not to rush. The 5 hours is kind of the
Right,
kickoff
well,
to address those
Yeah,
major
right.
issues, because
Just have a dedicated meeting.
Let Brent go, then you can go. And I'll go.
yeah, so it's not to rush it, right? The issue with just doing work sessions is discussing it 2 months. Guess what? We're going to forget what we discussed 2 weeks ago, or we're going
Yes.
to rehash what we already discussed. So ultimately, it's not rushing it, it's trying to be succinct in discussing so we don't rehash and re-bring up issues that potentially we've already solved. So it's not a rush. It's just, let's have the first meeting, or at least hear the input from everybody and say, let's schedule this first meeting of 3-4 hours. And then we have follow-ups after that. But we've got to be a little bit more deliberate when we meet and maximize our time instead
So
of
I agree
twice
with
a
that,
month
and
for 5
all
months.
along I've said, you know, I wanted to take it section by section or whatever, so that we're not going back. I mean, once we've gone through section 1, if there wasn't 3 people that were against something and it was changed, then we all know that that's what it is. We can't keep going back, because, you know, whatever we spend on section 1, we decide, I say I don't like something and nobody else doesn't, we move on. But
we can still do that,
can't do
right?
that
So-
whole general plan. I mean, I want you to give me 2 or 3 sections for the first meeting, so that I can be really, really prepared. You cannot, I've read that general plan, I can't tell you how many times, even at 2 and 3 in the morning, if I can't sleep, I'm up looking at the general plan. But I can't come in and talk to you about that whole general plan for the reason you just said. I get all upset over section 1, and then I get to section 10, and then I come in and talk to you, and I'm not gonna remember, and I'm making notes, and but I do think you need to say, I'd rather have 3 2-hour sessions than 1 5-hour session,
Okay,
I
so
guess.
we could still do that. So, but if you write all your comments and there's a theme of this is in section 1, then we know those are the topics in that section,
Right.
and you discuss it. But I think it's important for you all to see where you're at.
I think it's helpful to have that ahead
Yeah,
of
so
time.
you could still, section 1, this is the general
But so
concerns
are
of
you
section
wanting
1, we
to,
can
you
move
want
on.
our comments on the whole general plan, or do you want, I would say let's have our comments on section, I don't have it between, but section 1 to section 5. We want our,
sure.
our comments
I mean-
on that. We can't bite this general plan off in one piece.
Before we totally finalize this, I want to bring up the point that I have spent significant amounts of time poring over the comments that we received during the Planning Commission public meetings. I don't feel like any of those were addressed. I don't necessarily think we're going to change everything based on that public input, but I do think that the residents have a right to feel like we addressed those comments and we talked about them too. So how do we now incorporate 200+ pages of public comment? Plus, we've had another public hearing, city councils had their own public hearing.
We did, we started that out with public hearing. And
Yeah.
Councilwoman Makeup, I think 5 months, having settled 5 months from now is too long if we were doing it every 2 weeks. That's why I like the concept of looking at it through, like we do with budget sessions, okay? Because and I saw with our budget discussion, we did rehash things over and over and over again in multiple.
I'll agree with that. That I'll agree with. I
Yeah.
just think we need to take it in smaller bites, because for the budget session, I come and sit and everybody presents. They're the ones that have to do hundreds of hours in order to present it to me. But I don't have to be able to present it back to them. But for this, I have to have memorized. I have to know everything in that. And so I can't do 6 hours worth of that. I can do 2 hours worth of that or 3 hours worth of that. So I can do section 1 through 5, and then I come and because I do have to put in the public comments and relook at that and
I think
decide.
that's fair enough to break it down by section.
Yeah,
And
let's
and
do
in
it.
this case, we've had that presentation, like we do in the budget session. We've had the presentation. You're gonna have to go back and refresh yourself some, because
Right.
we've had Mike present it, we've had Soma's present
Right.
it
And that's what I
multiple
said,
times.
you've still got to,
So
yeah.
it's ready to discuss.
And so, yeah, like I said,
Okay,
I
so we'll
think
get with
that's.
Mike and we'll find, essentially, we'll discuss where those natural maybe breaking points are, what we think we can get through in a 2 or 3 hour work session, and we'll start there and say, hey, let's
Okay.
study these sections and come prepared to discuss.
And I'd like
Send
a
your
couple of
comments
weeks' notice
beforehand.
so that I can
Have
be
the
really.
comments due a week ahead, like we did. I
Yes.
think that
Yeah,
was
sure.
super
We-
helpful
we
to
need
be
that
able
for all of
to.
us, yeah.
Yeah, because I agree, sometimes somebody says something and I'm like, oh, I didn't think of that, or I viewed it differently.
And so with
I
all
want to have
that,
time to process.
and with all that being said, I feel like we do need to get this done. And I can see us I could see it going and breaking it up quarters, just 4 sessions, 2 hours. And with that being said, with the week that we would be required ahead of time to present what we have concerns with in those particular sections, I would almost want to see this starting in the first week of August. And that would be my thought. And then we could really look at getting it done in 2 months, right?
I think, okay, I do think there's some value in condensing, like, getting that time frame down, because I feel like with the budget, we started in March, and that was really awesome. By May, there were things that we talked about in March that were a little muddy in my head at that point. We had to kind of be reminded. So I think it is good to dive in and just.
And as a council, we all have to accept the fact that if we're the only person that's against it, we can't go back. I mean, with the budget, we could do those things, but if we've talked about section 1, and I'm the only person that has a problem with section 1, then when we get to section 3, I can't come back and go, but what about section 1? We've talked about it, everybody has said, Robin, you're an idiot, and we don't care. So we'll move on. And so I think
that's it, yeah.
we do have to know, you've got to have two people that are looking at it with you and before we can spend. And we'll get started on it. Maybe it will take longer than us, maybe it will take shorter. I mean, we pick that first section, and if we only get through a fourth of it, we're gonna know it's gonna take us longer, and if we get through half of it and we have time to go to dinner, then sweet.
I also think it's important that we realize this does not need to be a perfect document. It needs to be a working document.
Correct.
And if we really do our job right,
Well
and we get into a mode of updating this every 5 years, it will go a lot better. Like, you know, we had people here tonight that were concerned about a potential traffic light. Fair enough. That may or may not ever meet the warrant requirements for a traffic light. And so, you know, 5 years from now, that may adjust, because one of the comments was, well, there's really not any growth in this area. That's true. So it may not ever meet those requirements. Let's all agree as a community, this isn't the end-all document. This will not define every single change to Centerville planning and zoning. It will give us a general perspective, and I think if we can agree to that as a community, it will get better over time as well. It's been a lot of years since we had an active process where we were keeping up on a general plan.
And we have no idea. I mean, when they did that before, they probably thought that same thing. They had no idea it would be this long before we looked at it again.
And I
Yeah,
would like to say
fair
that
enough.
our committees and boards that we have been really working hard on their master plans that are actually even more of a grassroots from the residents, if you will. And if we look at those and take some language that puts emphasis on those master plans in the general plan, we will have even more resident input in the general plan. So I think that's something to consider as well as we start seeing these master plans from our trails, from the Parks and Rec, and the tree board, that we're going to have input on many levels from the residents.
Mr. Mayor, can I speak?
Yes, go ahead, Councilman Shannon.
I really love Robin's idea about breaking this into chunks and combining it with the proposal that you've made to do it in sort of working sessions. And it seems to me like we should look to Mike and Brent and say, how many, right, like what would be a workable chunk? So take a look at it, come back to us and have a proposal and say, to Brian's point, maybe we do it in 4 chunks, maybe we do it in 5 chunks, maybe we do it in 3 chunks. Probably 3 is too short, but whatever the chunks make sense, and then we can get the comments in advance. And if we do it that way, it feels like we're eating our elephant one bite at a time, but we're moving forward and making progress towards getting this done. I also am with Robin that I don't know that we need to push it so quickly that we're trying to promote speed over final work product, but I'm also in Gina and Brian's camp that we also need to get this thing done as well. So can we find a happy balance in there?
And I'm not necessarily suggesting we don't take the time. I'm just worried if we spread it out over 5 months, it becomes difficult to just track everything, because even though I agree we should not go back to section 1 when we're on section 3, if there is something that does conflict, or, you know, because we made a change in section 1, we've got to be familiar enough with it, and we haven't forgotten it, that we miss that. So I guess that's more where I'm coming from on the, I love breaking it down. Just once we dive in, we've got to go. Like, and our public is tired. They want to be able to come and make their comments and be heard. And I've had several call me and, you know, constantly, is it time yet? Is it time? They want to move ahead. They want to be heard and get it done. So, but I don't mean we need to rush it. Let's take the time it needs. Agreed. We got to dive in and do it.
I think we're, have a general consensus as far as strategy moving ahead, right? So do we want to wrap this up by, do we want or do we want to get back to them on?
Yeah, so I think there's two things.
What section we want by your comments, by what date?
Yeah, I think there's two things that need to happen here. First, to find that date. I do believe that maybe June and July is busy for a lot of people. Maybe there is that time in August, but we'll have Jennifer help us try and find an off week that makes sense for everyone. And then once we identify that date, and then Mike and I will come back with some ideas of how we break this up. We might reach out to Chris and maybe get some free advice from him, but we'll propose, this is the schedule we anticipate.
And I agree with Gina. It is hard you can't remember from here to here, so, yeah, I really don't want to do a little bit in June and then a little bit the end of July.
Right.
I'm just saying, I'm not good, if I have to make 4 meetings a month, I'll do that. I want the time to do it right, but I'm not saying it needs to take 5 months to do it. I'm saying I'll put in the hours and the time it takes to do it right.
It needs to be methodical, right?
Right, and
For sure.
because it has cost a lot of money. We already have put a lot of time into it, and we've had a lot of public comments on it. So we need to look at those and be respectful and.
Okay, well, that's what we'll do. We'll identify that date and.
And I just,
Go ahead, Councilman Binger.
I just want to say, I think we're all in agreement. Let's break it into some chunks. Let's move forward. I appreciated everything each council member has identified, especially Gina, the respect that there was so much public comment. They deserve sufficient attention to that. I have heard some comments that some of the public comment or written things we had that even be illegal. I would appreciate staff, maybe Mike, you've got some ideas on that, what that would be for direction for us. If there are some major problems with some recommendations that have come in as far as legality or something, I'd like to know about that. Let's not go down that rabbit hole if there's a reason to save us some time not doing that. But I think there are some tremendously good comments, some wording things that can be very helpful to all of us as we consider it. And breaking it down into sections like that can be most helpful. And I don't think this is insurmountable and will take an insurmountable amount of time, but we are going to have to dedicate some time to it. And I think each council member has already spent, and staff, of course, has spent a ton of time looking at this, and let's move forward, and thank you for all the efforts you're all putting into it.
I think, thank you, Councilman Binger. I think we'll see if we have any legal hangups through Mike and Lisa. Mike's done one of these before at the former city is at. So I think we'll make sure that we're safe in that regard. Was there a second thing, Brent, on what?
Oh, no, I just want, the legal
good.
side, again, that's why we would like to see the comments of staff a week before, so we can prepare and we can address those. I mean, it's hard for us to go down something that's potentially illegal if that's really not even a concern. We don't want to spend any time on items that aren't necessarily of concern. So knowing what your concerns are, then we can research those a little bit further and come prepared.
All right, we good on it?
Good.
Okay, thank you. You guys okay moving forward? All right, let's go to fraud risk assessment. These are always kind of fun, assuming that the mayor got his report to you. Did I? I did, late at night.
You did, everybody did, so
Nate
thank
was
you.
up late at night with me too.
I was. Excuse me. So as the mayor mentioned, we have the presentation of the fraud risk assessment. So this is something that's been in place for the last 5 or 6 or so years. The state auditor requires that we do it and present it to the city council by the end of the fiscal year. And then we do submit it to the state auditor's office. So to complete this assessment, we are given points based on meeting certain criteria. These points are all or nothing for that specific item, so there's no partial. You either get all the possible points or you don't. So we've completed the assessment for the year. And we've earned a total of 375 out of a possible 395 points, which puts us in the very low risk category. And this is the same score we've received the past 4 or 5 years. And that the only thing that we don't get points for is item number 8, which asks, does the entity have a formal internal audit function? And we do not, so we don't get points for that, which is not uncommon for a smaller city of our size. But we were able to get points for everything else. Are there any questions?
Good job.
Thank you.
Yes, good job.
Thank you all for doing your training. I know it's not the funnest training out there, but I appreciate you.
Turns out, it's really similar to also the special district training, so at least I kind of got 2 birds with 1 stone.
There you go. Yeah.
So I'm just quickly, on the chart, the yes is the points we got, or the points is the points we got?
Excuse me, so on the first page is the points. With question number 1, you refer to that basic separation of duties questionnaire, which is the yes or no, or mitigating control.
Oh, down here. Okay, so
So
that
that's
second page is where you get the 200 points
Yeah, so
from.
that's all correlated to, to item number 1. So on that, if you don't have, you need to be all yeses. If you have a no, then you have to have a mitigating control.
Okay. Well, good job. Awesome. You scored higher in some places, entities I've been involved with, so good job.
Thank you.
Why were you involved with them? They're higher risk.
Really, like staff is to be commended.
They were still safe.
You do, like, this happens every year that we score this high, and I think that's really impressive, and so, yeah, and thanks
We're trying to say thank you.
Oh,
Yeah,
thank you. No,
and thanks for harping on us that we're a little slow getting our training done. We
All right,
we appreciate being able to comply.
we got it done in time. And no, it really is a team effort beyond just the finance team. It involves you all doing your training. It involves different policies and the audit committees and fraud lines. So it is a team effort to get this score. So I appreciate everybody's help in that.
Thank you. All right. Okay, we're skipping around tonight. So we did 5, so we did 7, so it's 6. Deferral agreement for installation of public improvements is what we have. Let me get to that. All right, this is deferral agreement for the installation of public agreements of 192 North, 600 East, and 636 East, 2nd North, initiated by Sammy Richards, applicant, staff representatives Mike Carlson and Lisa Romney. Mike's come to the pulpit, so Mike, take it away with what additional that we don't have in our packet, or what we do.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same thing. You know, we've had some conversations about the map being made up on the the historical area that we want to preserve. We haven't got that done. So they're wanting to move forward with the sidewalk deferral. As always, Public Works will always deny a deferral because we want to have the improvements put in. We feel like it's in the best interest of the city to have it done up front. Having said that, you guys have the opportunity to go either way that you want. You know, it's just one of those areas that we have to decide when's the best time to put in the improvements. And my opinion and my expertise tells me there's no better time than the future, the present to get it done. The future, it ends up costing us costing the residents a lot more money down the road. But, you know, one thing is that if they put it in now, it's the city has to maintain it, take care of it, other than shoveling snow. But, If they wait, they get to pay the full burden of the cost, so. Lisa, I don't know if you want to add anything on that? What did I miss legally wise?
Well, yeah, I appreciate Mike's recommendation, which is denial of the requested deferral. We did put an agreement in your packet in case the council was inclined to approve this, but we had to create a new template because this was the first deferral agreement that we've ever done for a subdivision. So when I went to use our typical standard deferral agreement, it was just because we're building a home and we want to defer this. So I had to change a number of the provisions to address it being a subdivision. And as I thought this through, my recommendation is I didn't want to do it on the raw ground and then have it divided into 2 lots and have the future owners argue, well, no, that's their requirement or their requirement, because now we have one parcel that was divided into 2 lots. So I'm recommending that I've prepared one agreement for lot 1 and 2, and the recommendation that if you approve it, that we, record the plat and then record this agreement immediately afterwards. But in hindsight, I'd like to do one agreement for lot 1 and one agreement for lot 2. So again, they're not looking at each other and saying, well, what's my obligation? But I didn't have time before the packet went out. Plus, I didn't know if the council was going to approve it. So if you approve it, the recommendation, we did add something to the staff report in the recommendation to just say, staff recommends creating 2 agreements, one for each lot to be recorded simultaneously with the plat, and then direct staff to prepare those 2 agreements from this one.
Thank you, Lisa. I think that's an awesome idea.
So, sorry about not having them both ready, but it was more difficult to draft this than I thought. I think that's the better way to do it. So they purchased the property with one agreement for lot 1 and one agreement for lot 2, and they purchased knowing that that's recorded against the property.
So then, would we not have to redo it, because then they are each individual lots? So it isn't a subdivision?
What do you mean, would not have to do?
Would you not have to redo all of that paperwork? Because we already have the paperwork for a lot, and if we're gonna divide them beforehand, then it's not really a subdivision? Or it still is, never mind.
Well, yeah, they would have to have the deferral agreement approved so that they don't have to pay the bond. That's their whole thing. We told them, go ahead, pay the bond, and then we can work this out, but they don't want to pay the bond. They want to avoid that. So that allows them, with the deferral, to record the plat and then this.
Okay.
But it's your decision. We did recently adopt an ordinance that talks about the factors that you should look at, which is how close, there are public improvements in this area. This property is located within the map that we adopted to be eligible, but it just makes them eligible to apply. But the city council should still review some of those that, whether or not there's sidewalks within 180 feet, and it's in the area designated. It's on a minor residential street where the speed limit is 25 miles per hour or less. The property is not located next to a public school, church, or park, and the primary use of the lot is for residential.
And one thing it doesn't, we meet all of those, but one thing, if anybody hasn't been up and driven by this property, there is a lot of properties around this, like there's a retaining wall on one of them that would be major construction to move, and I think the city actually built that retaining wall where the sidewalk was supposed to go. So.
I went and drove by it again today just to kind of refresh, and I, kind of take a little more of a look at the existing landscaping, and I gotta be honest, this one is hard, but a lot of the landscaping, because there are not sidewalks, like we just continue to promote that issue because their landscaping in a way that doesn't allow for future sidewalks. So I just don't like this tool. I said that previously when we discussed this in April, and I'm still, this tool is not.
Could we put in the contract, as long as you haven't written it, that the ground where the sidewalk needs to be kept clear for a sidewalk?
Because I feel like in this
It does,
case,
yes, it does say that
I
in
think
the
it says
agreement,
that.
that they have to provide the construction drawings, number one, which is quite a bit of engineering expense, so that we do not make the mistake that was made on one where the drive
Yes.
approach would not allow for a sidewalk in the future. So yes, they have to do those drawings, and they're not allowed to put anything in that area. But 20 years from now, you know, I mean,
Right.
things happen.
The
As-
other thing is, I agree with Mike, and I've said to people that have called me through the years, ones that were probably more in a place than this one is, that will need sidewalks, I'm like, it's gonna cost you this much, but if you do it 10 years from now, it could be 10 times that. But I would be very surprised if this area ever wanted sidewalks. And so if it did, I think that would be a point when somebody came in and bought it all up and redeveloped the whole thing. But I don't agree that people want sidewalks.
I agree there's not sidewalks in this area. I don't know that I agree that the people entirely in this area don't want sidewalks. I haven't talked to every homeowner, so.
I haven't either, but I've
For
talked to
me,
a lot of them, and I grew up in
can't-
an area with those sidewalks.
I get that, and I'm not, for me, it just seems like, in this case, the sidewalks would work. I agree they would not go to anywhere, but then also you have this little square 48, which is, this is the deferred sidewalk, right, that's next door to the south? I'm in the right spot, right? This is the spot we're talking about. Sorry.
It's the lot where all the blue lines.
Yes, and this right here means it's a deferred sidewalk, correct?
Yeah, I think so, I think that's right. Yeah,
So
48 has it.
I'm looking at it and I'm going, gosh, you're moving right along with starting to get some sidewalks. I think for me, I look at 600 East and I go, yeah, that's a short little, traffic is gonna move slow, but these big long stretches from 400 East up to the mountain, I don't love that we're not putting sidewalks there.
I was driving in these neighborhoods, this neighborhood, the historic district neighborhood, and not a lot of sidewalks.
Yeah.
Very few sidewalks, and when I drive through mornings, people are walking. They're walking in the road, and it makes me think, and I fully support neighborhoods saying or neighbors and residents saying, we like the way our neighborhood is designed. And that being said, I know that Salt Lake City has lowered their speed limit to 20 miles per hour in certain areas. And I feel like if you want to have something like this, especially like you say on these longer roads going up, that I feel like we have to consider, and this is coming off of some folks coming in and talking about how fast people have gone up and down, what is it?
100
South.
Yeah.
That you can still get to where you're going by keeping a safe speed of 20 miles per hour and allow for people to enjoy their neighborhoods how they want to enjoy them. And so I think that if we are to move forward and continue to allow this public input and allow them to define what they want in these neighborhoods, that we might want to have a consideration of a lower speed limit.
I mean, that is certainly a point to think about. And something that goes back to what I said in April, which was, I don't like this tool. Is there a different tool that would be better? And frankly, a tool, you look at these neighborhoods and I guess I think, if we're gonna discuss, certain areas maybe not having sidewalks, I guess I'd really like every homeowner to be notified and come and weigh in. If they have concerns about that, this is the point where they get to weigh in rather than just deferring these, because the concern I have here is you just do not recoup and get them to put in sidewalks. It doesn't work. And we've seen it proven time and again. And so in this particular case, I'm like, I feel like we need, if we're gonna talk about what you're saying about, I respect what you're saying. I totally think that's a good point, that, you know, this neighborhood should get to decide. But I think it needs, I think the whole neighborhood needs to be notified that we're thinking about, that these won't be deferrals, it'll be a permanent no sidewalks, and I'm not sure that I'm comfortable deferring sidewalks here, especially when, you know, this is a longer length of road where, you know, is the answer what Brian said, reduce the speed limit? I don't know. I'm not an expert in this particular area. I don't know what's worked well in Salt Lake. I guess I would want more information, and I would certainly want this entire part of our community to have an opportunity to weigh in, if they wanted to. Now, maybe they'd all come in and say, you are crazy, we do not want the sidewalks, and then great, we know that. But the way it stands right now, I don't think this is best practice, and I think staff is right. I'm not in good conscience. I don't think this is the right tool, and I'm not saying I would agree to a different tool. I just want to have the opportunity to look into it. For me, this is not best practice, but that's all I have.
Okay, so we looking for a vote on if we want to defer, or a motion that we're good for, on this agreement, right? So we're considering public improvements deferral agreement between the city. So staff does not recommend entering the deferral agreement. If you approve, staff recommends creating 2 agreements, one for each lot to be recorded simultaneously with the plat. So anybody want to tackle that?
Are we being consistent if we pass the deferral with how we've dealt with this in the past? So are we being consistent, or are we being inconsistent by not passing the deferral?
I think
Council has consistently gone against our recommendation
Right,
to
I was
deny
gonna say,
deferral.
This is a subdivision, not,
one that we turned down.
that is
First subdivision.
inconsistent with what we've done in the
So
past.
you're setting a precedent now.
For the
with the
subdivision,
Yep.
Which could be a little, if you have 10 homes, because now.
Which is
That's
why,
It's
that's
only
why
two,
I'm
it can only be a
uncomfortable
two,
with it.
it can only be a 2-house subdivision.
we have to be able to state that somehow, somewhere.
It is, Lisa's
Well,
got that in the
it'll
agreement that it's a
house
house
until it's 3, and then pretty soon, I mean,
That's
that's
correct.
the problem. It's a slippery slope. Once you cross over this line, it will become slippery. There will always be something that comes up.
Right.
You never know what you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, the more you turn them down, the more, you're right,
Which I think
the
kind
more they
of
expect it.
also goes into these, what you've mentioned about getting neighbors, the neighborhood notified of this, and what is the neighborhood, and do we need to have some sort of neighborhood study where how are we going to break up Centerville into certain neighborhoods, and which neighborhoods do not have these sidewalks, and who gets to consider that to
And
be
should there be some sidewalks in certain locations, even in these neighborhoods?
that, and if there isn't, then we have to, I say, consider certain safety regulations, such as lowering the speed limit. And if it's a choice between sidewalks or having a 20-mile-per-hour speed limit, what do the residents want in their neighborhood? But you can't have both. You can't have people speeding up and down the road and have no sidewalks. I mean,
Right.
and that's just, it's
Right.
not, there's going to be the potential for accidents. And so,
There is, and I agree with everything everybody's saying. I walk every day, I walk 3rd East, there's sidewalks on both sides of the road. And I never walk on the sidewalk, and neither does anybody else, and I probably pass 20 people every day, and none of them are walking on the sidewalk.
because you can trip on the sidewalk.
And I
You can
agree
trip
with
on the
you,
sidewalk.
But when I've had smaller children too, and they're riding a little bike or something, they're on the sidewalk. I don't like them, and if they're on the side of the road because there is no sidewalk, I am standing between them and.
I agree, I am too.
So
but-
there's some things about that that I just go, you're removing an option for somebody that may choose to stay on a sidewalk.
And that's true. Like I said, I personally can vote for this because I don't believe a sidewalk. I think we'll make them put this in and it will be an eyesore because I don't think it's going to go anywhere else. There's not really, I mean, that's kind of building it. I think there are places that we probably do need sidewalks. I think we need the map, but then we need to look. But I can support this. This is all that's before us tonight, is this one issue. So we either need to support that or not support it. We can come up with other tools. I think that's what we did when we told them we wanted a map. I mean, we've tried to come up with some other tools, but tonight we have to vote on this one sidewalk in this one spot.
Yeah, and I mean, I've weighed in, I'm not gonna vote for it. And it is a best practice, and just my professional background doesn't allow me to say, I feel like this is, staff has given us and weighed in on their opinion, and I respect and trust what they've done, and so for me, this isn't the right tool for this, and I know they really want it, and I really want to be able to give them what they want, but I don't think that I think we're opening a Pandora's box that I just cannot in good conscience support.
And I totally understand. Like I said, my concern is you're creating an eyesore, because I don't think it's going to, that's what I don't want to do, is make them put that in there and have this eyesore, because we have this little piece of sidewalk in front of in this one little tiny spot, when I don't believe the rest of the neighborhood want it, but that's my own.
And that might very well be the case, I just don't know that, and I'm not gonna make that assumption without having an opportunity for the public to weigh in. We've had a few people come in and say they don't want it. Maybe that does represent the majority of the neighborhood, but I don't know that, so I can't vote for it that way.
So Mike, we have an applicant here. Is there a reason the applicant's not here tonight?
Mike emailed them. I don't know why they're not here. I don't have a clue. So one thing I'd like to clarify, though, I like what Councilman Plummer is saying, you know, other than, you know, we can reuse the 25-mile-an-hour signs somewhere else, but we do got to purchase new ones. So we'd have to add some in our budget, because it's not in there to do it now, if you wanted to go forward down the road. However you want to do it. But I think one thing too is, I don't know if I misunderstood what you're saying, but I think we've identified the area that we would allow no sidewalks in. Staff has been working on it. We've had several meetings where we went back and forth, and I love that Lisa took off on making a map, and it was a work of art. It was beautiful. And it's just, but even with that, it's just so hard to come up with the right thing, because you're right, you have retaining walls. You have all different obstacles that are in the way. You have one that the builder put the house at the wrong elevation, and what do you have him do? You can't lower his house, and the only way to take care of that one is to get rid of the front, have them come in through the back side of their house and put curb and gutter and a retaining wall in front of it. There's you're never going to make it all work up there, but if you don't keep moving forward in pieces somehow, you'll never have a sidewalk. But you do have to make, as a city council, I feel like you have to make a decision. If you're in the old part of town, there's no sidewalks. If you decide there is sidewalks, then we put the sidewalks in. It puts staff in a weird spot, so to speak, by having to make a recommendation, you know. I had made the statement to several people, if it was my house, I'd put the sidewalk in, because I'm done. The city can't come back to me ever and say, hey, you got to put sidewalk in. I'll say, no, I already put it in. I'm done. It's broken up. No, that's your sidewalk now. Heaven forbid a tree damaged it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the infrastructure, if they put it in now, they don't have to maintain it as far as if there's maintenance. If it needs to be ground, the city maintains it. If it's broken, the city maintains it when it gets to the point. And so that's, for me, I would put it in, but everybody's different, and thank goodness not everybody's like me. But I do think moving forward, what has to happen is we have to have a decision from council that says, in this area, historical area, we're not doing sidewalks. And it makes it easy for everybody involved. You know, I don't know if this is going to tie in real well, but I'm going to take a stab at it. So I had a conversation with a person on 4th South today, and there's purely a lot of misunderstanding going on over there. You know, number one, they're talking about a light. We've had 2 traffic studies, neither one have warranted putting a light in there yet. One day it will happen, it will have to happen. You know, a roundabout was talking about. It's possible that a roundabout comes in, but when it comes through and it says, the traffic code says you have to have something in there, we will have to do something. The traffic engineers will go out, they will look at all the options. You take, like the one guy that can't get out, they may have to make a concession for him to find a way to make it work, because there is a requirement for that person to be able to get in and out of his driveway safely. So all these things will come to place at times. So that's one of the big conceptions. I was very surprised with some of the phone calls I got. And I go, yeah, on my plans, it doesn't show anything about a light going in there. I have not, everything I've heard is the traffic studies, there's no light, period, going in there with what we're doing, what the city's doing. The other misconception is we sent out letters to everybody from Main Street on 4 South all the way down to the frontage road, telling them what's going on. The county is in there trying to get the culvert in there. I don't know what their deal is. I know that they're spread thin as we all are, and they're trying to get the culvert in. That's not the city, that's Davis County. That's Davis County doing that project. We appreciate them doing. We love everything that they do for us. We have a great working relationship with the county, and I enjoy all those guys there, but we do have to wait for the county to get done before we can come in on the grant and to get the sidewalk done. So I left my notes back there, but it's a 25 or a 35 to 40 foot wide will be the width of the asphalt on the road. So if you go down to the bottom of 4th South, and you look up and you look at the sides of the road, you can see where the road's going to go up through there. It might meander a little bit, but that's where the curb and gutter is going to go up. So the one thing that I shared with the lady that I think is very, very important, and there again, my paperwork's back there, but we had the TIF grant to put that trail in, which was a 50-50 match. So the city paid 50%, and the WFRC TIF grant paid 50%. So with Kevin and Gina and us, we got together and we ended up with Davis County third quarters. I misled some people today. I told them that it was 6.77%. It's 20%. Our match is 20%, and the third quarter is 80%. So there is a chance that the job will come in cheaper, and then the rates go down for both parties, right? The amount that we pay. So what that does for the residents on 4 South, and maybe some would hate exactly what I'm going to say right now, is how would it be if the city came in with an SID and says, okay, we're putting curb and gutter up in the road, and now your allotment is this much money, and they had to pay for the allotment. There's huge lots down there. It's going to cost them a lot of money if it was them to have to put it in. This is nice. They're paying for it. They're paying their fair share as everybody else in the city of our part of what we have to pay for the grant, right? But the rest of it is paid by the third quarter taxes. They don't have to pay for it. To me, if I was a resident over there, I'd say, I'm on board. I love this. You know, the nice thing about it is part of the trails that's trying to go on. The reason why we got it is because of the trails. You know, they're going to put a bike trail coming over by the theater and be meandering up. It'll go up to the school. So people will have a nice, safe route, because it is a trail route going up to the main street, up to the schools. You know, and the biggest navigation thing we have is 4th West and 4th South. That's the area that is probably the most safety concern. We'll have to get it in. We'll have to see what happens. There will be the light. Maybe we move the light to the other side. Who knows what way we'll have to go with it. But right now, I don't foresee us putting a traffic light in there. But there's many things that's coming on.
I think the point you're bringing up is the traffic light is not part of this current project.
Not at all.
I think there was some confusion that perhaps because the traffic light is mentioned in the general plan, and then you've got this current project going on, which is not really in the general plan. It's current. It's not future.
So I think there's a lot of things. I mean, I like the rural area over there as well, but bottom line, the improvements will have to come sooner or later. It's a minor road. It'll have to be done. So anyway, I rambled on too long, but the point of the matter is that road is a great benefit to every resident in town, I think, especially those, you know, you get rid of, You know, the one lady was talking about rats. Well, if you close that canal in and if you pave it up there, the rats go away. They gotta go somewhere else, right? We're gonna vacate them. So, I mean, there's a lot of benefits that go on. As far as, you know, up on the hillside with the, you know, historical area, you know, if that's how the city council wants it, that's how they want it, I'm all for it, you know? But as part of this, I get to make the recommendation, and no, I won't be mad if everybody votes against me on my deferral. It's okay. It's the way life is. But I do need to be honest with you guys and tell you how I honestly feel. And you can respect that I'm being honest with you, and I can respect your decision, your place, and what you have to do and how you feel. And I will always respect that. So, any questions for me? I'll sit down and be quiet till the next item, I guess.
Thanks, Mike. Okay, I think we discussed enough. Somebody gonna make any motion on this?
Yeah, I'll make it. I'll recommend that staff does not enter into the deferral agreement for the reasons set forth in the staff's report.
Got a second? Can I second it? We don't have a second to it. Anybody online making a second?
Councilmember Heyman is no longer online.
Right. Okay, see, no second. Is there any other motion?
I'll make a motion that we, hadn't thought this one through good enough, that we recommend to staff that we do enter into the deferral agreement for the reasons set forth here within, and the council is inclined to approve.
What are the reasons? Because staff didn't recommend it, so what are your reasons?
My reasons are, I don't think there's going to be sidewalks up there, and I think it's going to be a danger as far as people are going to, I mean, if you got to come off that sidewalk, you're going to go out into the road, and I think it's going to be unsightly to have this little piece of sidewalk.
I don't like it either. I don't like having to keep on doing these deferrals, but I'll second it because I think that you're right, that ultimately that there will not be sidewalks, and to have a sidewalk to nowhere is, no, it's just.
In this case, though, you essentially, if you require that they put the sidewalk in, you've now got 25% of that block with the sidewalk.
Yeah.
So
I think
in my
it's
mind, I'm like, this is we are going to define something that will, you know, that we really don't know what the neighborhood wants.
Okay, well.
Sorry, you
No,
can
no,
second.
no, and so when I second this, I wonder if it's not, why are the people that have requested this deferral, I wish they had come.
I wish they would have came
They're not
to.
here, so.
And
that's
it really
their
is
fault.
frustrating to try to do this without that. And then, as you said, Gina, I mean, how do we get some feedback from the neighbors and the neighborhood on this issue that,
Well, if we're going to pick the historic district and other areas that we're not going to do sidewalks, we're going to need to notify the neighbors and have a public hearing and have the neighbors
Right.
have a chance to come.
We should do that.
so,
I would think if there was any neighbors in this area that wanted them to have to put a sidewalk in, they would be here tonight, so maybe.
I don't
And
know
there
that
is-
they're
I don't
following
think
that
they know about
closely,
it.
so I don't agree with that. I think they should be notified. Like, this would be a major change from current city code. And so I don't agree. I think they should be notified, each individual property owner, letter in the mail.
so are they on a time schedule that they need to have this done tonight? I mean, can we table this issue and see if the public is interested in coming in and making some comment? That's, I guess, rhetorical, in the sense that they're not here saying, yes, we are on a time crunch and we're trying to get things done. Well, they aren't here, so maybe they aren't on a time crunch, so maybe we should table it.
So I have not talked to these people. Kyle Green came several times. He's called me several times, and I know that they have put off supposed, but I don't know this from them, so it's just hearsay.
I've
Mike's
always.
coming up. Let's have Mike can enlighten us a little bit.
Oh, good.
I can answer a little bit. I don't want to necessarily speak for the applicants, other than I can give anecdotes of conversations with the applicants to your question, Councilmember Plummer. The applicants are anxious. They are trying to move forward with the finalization of their plat, and they would like to do construction into the fall. They would like to submit building permits and move forward with that, but they feel like this is holding them up, this decision, so they don't want to advance forward. And I think it has to do, again, I don't want to speak for the applicants other than anecdotes. I think it has to do with their financing situation and how they put together all their construction loans. I think that's a part of it, it feels like, but I don't want to over-represent that either without them being here to represent that portion of it. But that's what it feels like to me.
So do you want,
So how do
have
you-
the staff send notices out in this next city council meeting, which is actually not for 3 weeks, and have them notify people within a certain area around them that this is a deferment that's being
I think
looked
that's
at?
a broader conversation, Councilor Mingham. I think this, again, back to the original idea, this is what's in front of us. You mentioned it, this is what's in front of us now. Again, I mean, you're talking about potentially an overhaul of delaying it potentially months if you want to do
That's
this
fine. I was
survey
just
and
trying to get
through.
what Gina was wanting.
You don't need to get it, I just can't vote for it. It's in my opinion, and based on what I've seen, I cannot in good conscience go this route. I do not think this is the right tool. And I respect that, there's many good reasons to do it. I am concerned that I've never seen the applicant here. I don't think a neighbor should be speaking for the applicant, but that's all I've seen so far. And so to me, they're not here to talk about it, and it's not best practice. And so for me, that's the way it's got to be. That's how my vote's got to be.
Just one other note to that point. I did notify them 2 weeks ago that this was coming to this meeting, and then I did send them an email as well, a reminder of this meeting. Just
Okay.
that's
So, one thought, just throwing this out. So, could you approve the deferral based upon the map being done? So they can go ahead and get construction going, they can get doing their thing. They could have the deferral at this point, but could they be put on notice that if the map comes back in a short period of time saying that it gets sidewalk in there, they immediately put it back in?
So here's my concern with that is you can't go back and ask them to do that if there is some potential financial issue. So I don't think that, for me, I don't know if that.
Yeah, I don't know, it was just a
I'm not
thought.
trying to prevent them getting a house, I just don't like this tool. I don't think it's the right
I
one.
don't like it either, but it feels like
You prevent them getting a house too if you don't do something about it.
That's true. And
Well,
I think we need to make a
It's
decision.
going to be 3 weeks so you can't address it again. So you got to make some decision. Yes or no?
Well, there's a motion, so let's vote on it.
We didn't get a second.
I second
He
it.
seconded it.
Okay, so we do have a second. Okay. So,
Before you vote on that, if you could add the recommendation that you direct staff to create 2 agreements, one for each lot, to be recorded simultaneously with the plat, if the motion passes.
So moved.
Do you second that change?
Mayor, this is Councilman Banger, can I ask, Mayor, how you would vote if you were voting?
He might be if it's a tiebreaker. He may be voting. Sorry, I interrupted. Go ahead, Mayor.
I'll see if I have to break a tie. I think you probably know how I'll vote.
I know. I think you said enough to.
I'll just say I'm conflicted too. I think this is challenging. It's a precedent has been set in perhaps the wrong direction for staff to initiate this in the way they've identified and go forward with. I think we're behind the 8 ball in that we haven't got the map and haven't done that. So I think I'm going to vote in favor of granting the deferral because we don't have a map. And I think it's unfair to a citizen who is in a bad spot, and hope we can get something sooner than later identified where sidewalk is and is not permitted. And
Can I just clarify one point? When we say
that's
a
where I'm
bad
on.
spot, they most certainly can subdivide the property and build 2 homes. They're required to put a sidewalk in. So I don't know if I agree that it's a bad spot. They can move ahead.
So I go back and forth on everything you're saying, because I agree with
I
a lot
know,
that's been
I
said.
Okay,
I'm
we've
just
had-
like everybody else, but here's my other thing.
I
You
just
made a
don't-
motion and there was a second.
Yeah, let's just vote on it.
Nobody else in that neighborhood
think-
was required to put a sidewalk
I
in.
think Councilman Banger just gave, I haven't called for a vote, but I think he gave his vote.
There haven't been that many that have been required to do so.
They're saying nobody has
I
been.
guess this is a
Not saying
further
deferrals,
discussion.
I'm
There's
saying
several deferrals, so.
there are deferrals.
This is a further discussion. It's giving you a chance to pull your motion, or we're going to go ahead and vote.
Okay, let's vote.
Okay.
Aye.
Nay.
Councilman Plummer.
Aye.
Councilman Banger, did you vote, or am I coming back to you? I think you had a vote from you, but,
Councilman Bangor votes aye.
okay, so it's 3-1 for the ayes. Okay, thank you.
What about Councilmember Hayman?
She's not with us anymore.
That sounded bad.
She's no longer on the call.
She's with us.
She's in a location where it's really, really now early the next morning.
Oh, I've done this too long. She's getting bad reception, like Councilman Hurst said. So. Okay, summary action calendar. This is Centerville Commons subdivision water line in the amount of $70,382. Anybody have any questions on this one?
Can I make a motion that we award this bid for the Centerville Commons subdivision water line to Forge Industrial in the amount of $70,382?
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion to second. Councilwoman Meekum.
Aye.
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 Councilman Banger?
Aye.
Okay, that passed unanimously. And we go to minutes of June 2nd, City Council. Do we have any changes to those minutes?
None that I see.
If not, a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, opposed? I think I hear it all four. Okay, let's go to council report.
All right,
Councilman
Mayor,
Brian
thank you. You know, there's not a lot of updates here for council or for you as far as what they've been doing in Parks and Rec and Tree Board from my last report. I believe that Gina had given, or Councilwoman Hurst had given an update on Parks and Rec just a couple of council meetings ago. But overall, let me just say that I'm impressed by the people, again, that serve our community in these boards and commissions. The Parks and Rec folks are working so hard and have come up with some really good ideas for the 250th anniversary celebration that we're going to be having. I would like to just say that they will have a booth at the event on the 4th and the 3rd. They will be having, of course, the movie in the park on the 3rd, which is a League of Their Own, and have some activities that go along with that. And they'll be introducing the mural that they've commissioned to have done that will highlight Centerville from local artists, and the time capsule idea has come to fruition. There is a time capsule, and there will be some opportunity for, at the booth, at this celebration, to take some pictures that will be somehow, whether it's on a thumb drive or some other technology that will be available in the future, 50 years from now, that they'll be able to store those photographs or other items that there's also going to be an opportunity to write notes on a paper that with ink that will last that period of time. So lots of opportunity to go down and have that be part of the time capsule as a resident of Centerville, I think, and I would encourage as many people to participate in that as possible, because I think it'll give people in Centerville 50 years from now a really interesting glimpse as to how life was now. So
Are you still doing something from the council? Didn't you say that?
that is something that I don't think has been communicated directly, but let me communicate it to you now that yes, they would welcome any letters or comments from the council and the mayor to be put into the time capsule. How that looks will be up to you. Now, at the event, they're going to have maybe some questions or of what were popular things going on nowadays. So kids and adults will be able to answer those and put those in there. But for us, maybe it's more of a letter to the people of Centerville in the future, and how that looks will be individual to each council person and mayor. So yes, they do welcome your input and would like that to be part of the ceremony, which would be, the closing ceremony would be on the 4th. So they'll seal it, and they expect to probably keep that time capsule somewhere on city property. In maybe this building is probably the safest spot to remember where it is 50 years from now. So that's going to be, I think, one of the more fun activities that they're going to be doing there. They'll also have a booth in connection with the tree board, and they'll be able to talk about their master plan. The Parks and Rec will be able to discuss that with the community that come up, and they'll also have the mural at that event on the 4th as well. So the artists will be there to talk about what their inspiration was and how that will be displayed moving forward. And so that's all going to be part of this event coming up, which is very quickly approaching. So I would say that we would want to get those letters and those thoughts put together relatively quickly or soon, so that you're not waiting till July 3rd to do it.
I think they are closing the capsule on the 4th.
The 4th is the
I think they're hoping that the mayor's going to have something to do with closing that either right before the concert or.
But then you'll need to let us know what they want, what we need to write on, how big it can be. I mean, they're gonna have to talk to them and see exactly what they want from us. That's what I'm saying. It's not a very big capsule, so they're not gonna want us to.
And what they've talked about is, I think Tyson Creamer was the one that was saying that they have a special paper and a special ink that if you're going to write it,
that's right.
you're going to want to put it on that so that it lasts the test of time 50 years from now. Now, if you're going to type it out, putting it on a thumb drive or the same thumb drive as the pictures, I think that would work as well. So yes, maybe we could get some feedback from Tyson in that regard, and see what they think we should do, whether it would be written on paper would be better, or if we are wanting to save it as a PDF document and hope that they know what
Hope they
those
can
are.
still read a PDF?
Right.
Write it in
the
cursive.
future.
So you're saying the iOmega zip drive will not fit in the time capsule?
I don't think so. No, the time capsule will be able to fit every written submission. I mean, it's not big, but it can fit enough of the cards, I think, to allow everybody that wants to participate, and then you can just stuff the thumb drive or whatever it is in on top of that. So, yes. And
Backup thumb drive, just saying.
something. And I think that's something that the Parks and Rec folks are actually actively talking about over the next little bit, whether it was an SD card, a thumb drive. They have not finalized on those items yet, but they are discussing that. And I would say that ultimately, from my perspective, I would say that writing a letter to the people of Centerville in the year 2076, it may be the route that I take, and however you would look or choose to do that would be something you could do on your own. But again, I think it's a great idea, and I think it's going to be a fun opportunity for the people in 2076 to open that up and see
Well, if they
where
have
we were at.
certain paper, certain cards or something, get us one and let us be able to pick that up and do it.
Good point.
I'd like to do that.
Okay. Yes. And,
Continue.
and really, again, that's kind of wrapping up the Parks and Rec. Again, they've been working on the 250th anniversary celebration, so a lot of the other things have been kind of pushed back as far as the master plan, but they are going to be picking that up once the celebrations are done. They'll be meeting in August, and I think that will be a number one priority. I'm actually very excited to get more of that, of these master plans from these committees and commissions, in that I feel like it will be valuable for us in incorporating some of the, or at least referencing those in our general plan. And that's what I feel is a really key part of what they're doing. And I think I can say the same for the tree board. The tree board has also been preparing for the 250th. They have a booth as well. They'll be discussing what they've been working on as far as trees and trees that are conducive to drought conditions, and their recommendations for those types of what would be best to plant in people's yards. They'll be there to give that information to the community, and they will be coming back after July and also be talking a lot more about documents that would be something that we could refer to in the general plan, such as recommended trees and for our city in certain areas, depending on what the soil conditions are and whether you're up on the bench or down in the wet or the lowlands. There's different types of trees that do better in certain areas, and they're working on that. So again, these folks, I'm just so impressed with the time they put in, and really some of the ideas and expertise they bring to the table. So that concludes my report. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. The Parks and Rec Committee has been rocks and just solid in this 250 celebration. So I would just say have them, because I've talked to Haley about it and others. They haven't reached out to me to contact. I'm sure we're all thrilled to put anything in it, but I don't know if they had other ideas. So.
I think that the person who's over that had a little health situation, so.
Okay.
I think just be patient. I think it'll probably be coming.
Okay. Thank you. Anybody else have anything pressing?
I do really quickly.
Okay.
On June 26th, the South Davis Greenway will be having an open house. This will be at the Bountiful City Park. That's 400 North, 200 West in Bountiful. It's between 6 p.m. and 9 p.m. This is for those who do not know what the South Davis Greenway Trail is, this is a joint, urban type trail through the cities. It goes from Farmington down through North Salt Lake, and part of that trail comes through Centerville. So
Along 400?
it starts in Farmington. It starts on the frontage road, and it will go all the way to Chase Lane. Then it will jog east to 400 West, and then it follows 400 West all the way into Bountiful. I believe it crosses, it's on the west side, it's on the east side of the frontage road. It's on the west side of 400 West until about the theater, and then it crosses over. It lines up with that flashing light crosswalk that's right at the theater.
Which is very interesting, because Parks and Rec were a committee on our last meeting. We're very interested in this as they are discussing, and they had really taken note as to what the Trails Committee had done recently, that they really would like to play off of this greenway and have some tributaries coming off of it and going to our own parks and rec areas. And so I think that it's interesting
basically
proposal.
the backbone. It's an urban backbone spine, and yes, it is definitely designed for people to use it to get, to work, or obviously they would have to be working somewhat locally, but yes, the idea is that other trails will,
Branch off.
branch off of it. That's one of the reasons it goes in front of Community Park. That's one of the reasons it crosses over to the east side to pass Porter Walton, the library, some of these things that, and it is, I believe it's a 12-foot wide shared use path is what it's called, and it will be, the city obviously will have some say in what type of materials, but likely it's an asphalt path. On the frontage road, it will be, most of that's going to be covered by the UDOT improvements.
So will they be taking people's property for it, or will it be part of the road?
They are not taking, I shouldn't say there wouldn't be a possibility somewhere, but no, they're going to use the existing right of way. And that's what we've been working on for several months, is just making sure that it fits into the alignment. The road may become narrower in some places to accommodate the width, but no, they're not taking anyone's property.
And I had somebody else ask me if they would still be able to park in front of their house.
There will likely be, you won't be able to park on one side of the road, so if it's on your side, that's a possibility. So that's why I'm letting you know, this is the point in time where we need to have people weigh in and provide input on concerns that they have. All of the homeowners that are affected, that it could be, and that's both sides of the road were notified with a flyer. I
heard from a couple of people, and I'm like, I don't have that much information on it, but.
So this impacts my neighborhood, and I had a few phone calls about it. For the most part, it's been a positive response. I think people are pretty excited about it, but.
All right.
Anyway.
Anything else?
26th. That's all.
Okay. All right, order the mayor's report. International Institute of Municipal Clerks, Clark Wilkson, Centerville Mayor. Dear Clark Wilkson, Jennifer Robinson, CMC of City of Centerville, has earned the designation of Certified Municipal Clerks, CMC, which is awarded by the International Institute of Municipal Clerks, Inc. IMC grants the CMC designation only to municipal clerks who complete demanding education requirements and have a record of significant contributions to their local government, community, and state. The International Institute of Municipal Clerks, founded in 1947, has 14,000 members throughout the United States, Canada, and 15 other countries. And the mission of this global nonprofit corporation is to enhance the educational opportunities and professional developments of its diverse membership. In light of the speed and drastic nature of changes these days, lifelong learning is not only desirable, it is necessary for all in local government to keep pace with the growing demands and changing needs of the citizens we serve. Your city can take immense pride in Jennifer's educational accomplishments and achievement of this milestone. On behalf of the IMC Board of Directors, I'm honored to endorse the conferring of CMC to Jennifer Robinson, CMC of City of Centerville. We share your pride in this achievement, and we applaud your support of the role Jennifer plays in your city. Sincerely, Don Abrahamson, MMC, IIMC President.
Thank you.
Thank
Way
you.
to go, Jennifer.
Congratulations, Jennifer.
All right, all of you, I'm going to be sending you a text, and this is what who it's from. Mr. Mayor, it's Mary James. It's that time of the year again, haha. Would you be willing to take a turn in the dunk tank? And would you also be willing to encourage members of your city council and staff to volunteer as well, even just to help with different volunteer needs? So she wants you to be on the dunk tank. And you can't get sick and back out like I did last year. Okay? So you got to sign up and commit like I think Chief did. Didn't you go through?
Chief, that's awesome.
Okay, so I'm going to forward this to y'all.
Yeah, but his hair's easier to do when he gets wet.
So,
Mine's pretty easy now, too.
but it's encourage members of your city, council, and staff. So staff, you didn't get out of it as well either, according to Mary Jane's volunteer. So we're going to have a great celebration. That leads right into, remember on the 3rd, we have the Children's Parade in the south part of town this year on the old route. And that is not the morning of the 4th, and it'll lead down here to the park and all this neat stuff that Councilman Plummer just talked about, and Bruce wants to remind us too, so please, Bruce, do.
Evening of the 3rd.
That's what I said.
I thought I said morning of the 4th.
Oh, maybe I did, but evening of the 3rd. That's all happening the evening of the 3rd.
And what's going to be there? What's going to be there?
Bruce is coming up. I tell you, he's excited.
There will be a lot of the same feel to our old celebration in that the children's parade will start at its OG location at the 2nd South, and it will run to William R. Smith Park there at the elementary school. There will be food trucks and food booths along the north side of the park where we used to have carnival booths. There's a concert that will start at, I believe, 7 o'clock, and then following the concert will be the movie in the park. And so other than fireworks that we used to have, it will be very similar to our old celebration. And then
Party.
yeah, and then the big 4th of July celebration will start the next morning, and lots of fun and games for kids, and the concert and fireworks and all of that will be happening. So, but the night before will be a bigger.
We do need the police to have their auction though that night.
It's a country concert at 7, and then there's a movie afterward at 9:15.
Yep.
Okay. So that's happening on the night of the 3rd, so that'll be fun. And then on the morning of the 4th, if you're all going to run, you got the 5K run to get up for. You don't have to worry about going to see the children's parade at 9 o'clock, because you're gonna be in a parade at 9 o'clock. Okay, so on the morning of the 4th, we will have our parade. The festivities will start down at the park at 11. Danny's got great musical entertainment lined up, and then we have the headline band of Ryan Shoup and the Rubber Band, and then we have fireworks that night. So get everybody excited, and they've been working hard on it, and volunteer. Okay. I'm trying to, I had so much, but I'm trying to condense down to what's critical. Please remember to get out and vote if you haven't already voted. And please get the truth, because it's funny to be in this position and have candidates come up to you and tell you something about the other candidate, and you were in a meeting when that wasn't said. So please get the truth before you vote. It's like, don't you realize I would have been in that meeting? So anyway, I always wait till the end to see if they're going to remain solid all the way to the end, but maybe some of you vote right when you get your ballot. And then please remember that this week is Flag Week. The Flag Day was on June 14th. The first official flag design was on June 14th, 1777. And President Lyndon B. Johnson signed in 1966 National Flag Week from June 14th to June 20th to fly the American flag. My son came to me tonight and he says, "Dad, you got a new flag?" And I said, "You're darn right I did." He says, "Good, because the last one was yellowing. You weren't being too respectful." So just a little tidbit on there for you. And the last thing is a point of personal that I'm going to take is I had the opportunity in the last 2 weeks a week ago Friday, go to my 102-year-old uncle's funeral, and last Friday go to my LDS mission president's funeral. And and he was almost 100. And let me just say this, outside of my father, my LDS mission president was the biggest influence in my life. And so even though I was happy, it was hard for me, because I think I got my leadership style from him and everything. And he taught me how to be involved in the community as well too. His brother was a congressman. He was involved in politics. He was really involved in his community. He played tennis up till he was 97. My uncle also competed in the Huntsman Games up till he was 100. What a great examples of enduring to the end. And the neatest thing about this is these two men as young men served as LDS missionary companions. So pretty neat things and reflective time. And I just encourage you all to look at those examples in your life and live up to those examples and set those examples for the next generation. So thank you for indulging me with my personal point there. And I think that's it. So Brent, City Manager.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Honestly, we've discussed a lot of what I was from report, so I have nothing else to add unless there's questions for me. Okay, groovy. Thank you.
All right, so we need to do a closed session. Hopefully we can cover it pretty quick, but so I would ask to adjourn City Council meeting with the intention to not return.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn City Council and go into a closed session to discuss the purchase, exchange, or lease of real property with no intent to return to the general session.
Second. Robin, we need to vote on this.
Yes. Yes.
I seconded.
Okay.
Aye.
Aye.
Councilman Bangeter?
Aye.
Okay.